All right. So, hold on. Somebody has given me a new name. Interesting. All right, guys. Hey, Hungry Walk, how are you? Sorry that I'm late for tonight's stream, but I was busy catching up on calorie intake because I worked today. This is going to be a weird week because I usually don't have days off in the middle of the week, but that's the purpose of a holiday week. Here we are at Gatekeepers, and if you want to join in and discuss things, there's an open call in the Legion of Myth chat. The Legion of Myth general discussion tab. Till that moment, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the subsystems I typically will bring into a game. Hello, Captain Trek. How are you tonight? What I'm discussing tonight is when you've got people at your table, there's certain rules that you will want to have at your table, and you'll want to have them on front and center because they're going to add a new dynamic to your game. And I'm going to talk about this, and I'll actually open it up a little bit further. We all remember, hey, Indigo Dragon, Baron G-Rock. Yeah, I know, I'm late. You got an invite, so hello, Man of War. Wow, everybody's piling in. In a tabletop RPG, typically the people at the table are the ones that you're trying to entertain the most. They're trying to have a good time, and you're trying to provide it to them. One thing I always bring to my table is the Kingmaker rules from Pathfinder First Edition from the Kingmaker Adventure Path. The Kingmaker Adventure Path is a neat little AP that the players go about, and they have been given a stewardship of a land, and they're told to grow it by their cousin. And so the players go out and they hex crawl, and they start settling the world around them once they find a suitable spot to call their capital. This kind of reminds me of the old IBM PC Classic Master of Magic and all the derivatives since then. Now, there are things to be said about that. Most of them really good. When you have a campaign where the focus is making the players the rulers of the land, you're not only taking a campaign from dungeons and occasional guild halls, now you're taking a political level, and you're going above and beyond what normally is expected of you. Although, as a good dungeon master, storyteller, referee, or judge, however you call yourself, it is always good for you to achieve and then overachieve at your job of trying to satisfy the players. Indigo says Kingmaker is one of the Pathfinder campaigns I'd love to play. Dude, I love to run it. It's actually one of the best that they've done. I'd say it's just right under Curse of the Crimson Throne, which is another good campaign they did. What you do is you basically have some things that, as you're playing, the players will gravitate towards a few different roles like Chancellor or Castellan, or just some generic titles that will give them a bit of power among the populace, but not much. Everybody's got hit points, and they can all be reduced to 0. So don't let the players have it go to their head where they're superheroes and can't die. Which I mean, don't go with the atypical garbage 5th edition campaign mindset where the players are going to survive everything that's tossed at them. The players should learn to run. 5th edition does not teach that. Pathfinder does. 3rd edition did. First edition first edition AD&D especially did. And of course, basic D&D did as well. This is a campaign where the players need to be on their toes at all times because things happen. And whether they're going around adventuring and going from hex to hex to hex to hex and doing random encounters and finding various things that are enrich their territory or be a cancer upon it, they have to take good notes and they have to keep track of things. It's not your job as a DM to tell the players and lead them by the nose. You're supposed to facilitate an environment for them to enjoy themselves. That's it. And Kingmaker is the most puritanical of that because it gives you a space where you say, here's your little acre. You don't know what's on it. Go explore. And they do. And they might have to deal with some kobolds and cabbages. Or they might have to deal with some goblins in a mine. Hey, Multi-Gunman, how are you tonight, sir? So it's good to see him in the chat. He's a newbie to the RPG tabletop thing, but he's really enjoying his dive into it. And I also want to make a note here. I don't have a real negative opinion of 5th edition D&D. I have a negative opinion about Wizards of the Coast and a horrible opinion about the glut of books they've put out and the bad ideas that are within them. The core books, the monster manuals, the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Player's Handbook. Those 3 essential books are what you need to play the game. After that, go find third-party people that love the hobby and see if that stuff will fit in your campaign. Because the stuff that Wizards is putting out is sucking out all the originality of the game, and they're taking all the things that make a setting really special, and they're homogenizing it among the entirety of that edition, which is a very poor idea. Anyway, with Kingmaker, you have your players going about, and they have their countryside, and they will eventually find out on that hex map in the campaign where the big power centers are at. One of the things that the players do is they will discover a ruined temple. Now for that, I drew out a map on a huge rolling piece of grid paper. Garrett should remember this. And it was a ruined temple to Iristil. And that is basically the patron saint of that campaign, the patron deity, a woodlands deity. Unfortunately, Pathfinder had somebody write a mock-up of him in one of the Pathfinder adventure paths, and the entire Paizo forums exploded. They had a bunch of problems with it because of his outdated traditional thinking. And Sean Reynolds is the guy that wrote it, and he wrote all the gods for Pathfinder's first edition, and he wrote them all flawed on purpose. And he did that because he's, got a few things. Part of his agenda is he is not a person who has a belief. He hates religion. Now, I don't know why they'd have him write it, but he had an interesting take on it, where he gave you a world where you could enjoy the deities, but if you looked too hard, you saw the cracks within their facades. Iristil was a deity that you would have for the wilderness because he exemplified small tribal mindsets and protect your people. Above all, make sure the children survive and are unharmed. So it was good to run that in that campaign, and the players eventually discover things about the land around them. They discover they've got trolls in one cavern system. They've got an overabundance of owlbears, which is the patron monster of the adventure path. But the Pathfinder Kingmaker system is something I try to put into every campaign that I run. And I tell people, if you're going to run a campaign, do this one. because it will give you a large amount of content. Now, in the APs, they are a 6-issue monthly series for the first edition. I don't know about second, but you can find them on eBay or PDF on the Paizo website, and you get 96 pages of a really great adventure most of the time. Now, there's been some duds they've written, like the very end of Second Darkness, which the players were just wondering what were they doing. But Kingmaker was a smash hit from beginning to finish. And in the very last adventure, the players go up against an older evil, not an elder evil, an older evil of the Fey realm. And if you want to really boggle the mind of the characters, there's a lot of supplements for the Fey, for Pathfinder. Yeah, Garrett's like, Second Darkness, boo. Yes, it was horrible. But it was a campaign that had its strengths. It really did. But in Kingmaker, at the very end, they fight against a Fey monster that will steamroll the players, at least at the start of the combat. If they survive, that's up to them and the dice. The way you will build up your own Kingmaker games is that you will want to have portions of your map are going to have, this is where we're wanting to focus at right now, and give them incentives. Give them things like crags, rocks, few river bottoms, places to forage, and certain hexes they conquer will have yield of so much income per month to help out the treasury. Every month that goes by, you'll have a series of die rolls. How is your capital doing? Is there unrest in your cities? Are the people being fed well? Is there a boon going on? And you will have so many random events happen on the monthly checklist that my players, when I ran this back in 2011, they were looking forward to things like those random encounters or the random events spurred upon by the monthly events in your kingdom. So not only are you sending players out to adventure and to do things, they have to return back usually for a week out of the month and see to the people, which is a pretty good rotation because you are going to have players flush with money. And if there's crafting to be done or purchasing of goods and services, they will need to sit down and discuss that with either themselves or with NPCs so they can do those things. I'm not telling you anything that you really have to pay for. All of the Kingmaker rules are on the D20 SRD or D20 PFSRD site. And they're worth a look. Garrett's probably over there. Oh, I kind of remember that. That's the adventure series where we had Andy and Russ get into a fight. Yeah. Yeah, that was like one of my most popular videos I ever did. Yeah. Let me bring this up. All right. This is a link that will take you to all of these subdivisions of kingdom building. It goes over everything. It goes over the terminology, various roles that people have, spy master, treasurer, viceroy. You want to talk? I don't know, Indigo Dragon. I have no idea why the other gatekeepers aren't on here. I've posted in the live stream comments. I guess people didn't want to talk about this. And I have no idea why am I a League of Legends champ. That's funny though. League of Legends champ. I am a troll. I will say that. Anyway, so and Garrett, if you want on here, let me know because I'll just throw you the link directly. But um, this this system for your table, and you can port this to any real RPG system. Any system out there will happily take Kingmaker. Baron G Rock, it's in Gatekeepers. The live stream links at the very bottom. Yeah, Shadzar, I haven't changed my name from Darius yet. That was the stream. That's the character name from Saturday for Chris's game. Oh, there's Garrett. Hey, buddy.
Blah, blah, blah.
So,
You can't do this without me. You know better.
well, I put the stream out there.
Yeah, no.
So, I'm talking about the Kingmaker series because that's my favorite subsystem, and I include that in every tabletop game I've ran since 2011. Do you remember it or do you not remember it?
I remember bits and pieces of it. Usually when I run Pathfinder 1.0, this is my go-to. Carnival of Tears is a great little supplement because you can fit the carnival itself into any bit of the like a lower mid tier type thing.
So you're saying
Because you can,
like levels 4 to 7.
yeah. Well, it's a level 5 type adventure. This is also one that does tend to screw the players over. So if you like to have fun with your players, this is a great one to use.
Well, both of them feature Fae pretty prominently, and the only thing I would say, like that is a great module. That was written for the Darkmoon Veil series before Paizo actually had a Pathfinder game, which is why it's written in 3.5. But that's one of Nicholas Logue's top two adventures, and awesome one. Firehouse Subs is my favorite subsystem. Well, Firehouse isn't bad. They don't have Jersey Mike's beat though.
We actually have a Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's is awesome. The Big Kahuna is my favorite.
So yeah, but this one with Carnival of Tears, the biggest mechanic that I really do enjoy with it is the Cupid dolls. The cursed Cupid dolls of Cursed.
So you pick those up, and what happens to you, Garrett?
You have to get a remove curse for each one, which is fun because there's signs well, I always put out there's signs everywhere. You get a special prize if you collect them all. So yeah, and it's a random roll on which one they get.
Excellent.
It basically goes from everything, I think, from let me stop sharing that. It goes everything from the like -1 to attack to you lose some con to it's all kinds of fun stuff in there. So it is very, very fun to do that. Especially, it throws your first curses at your players too. Especially if you're dealing with like Kingmaker, it does have the Fae interwound in there too. So it's a nice little sub thing that you can just because that carnival you can put anywhere.
I haven't ran that module in probably about 9 years. Hey, John Schlo, how you doing, sir? We have a link out there for you if you'd like to join. If you don't, I understand. I know you're a busy man sometimes. Shadzar says he made himself a Dagwood sandwiches. It's got a characterized of layers of sodium, fatty-laden meats, and cheeses. That sounds pretty nice.
Addy.
He's on his he's on his tablet, so he's got the wrong account up. No, no. But and the first time he popped up in chat, I didn't know who it was.
That's not Max. That's
not
John.
Max. Bring back Max. We like Max. John's like, but I am John. And Max keeps talking. I'm like, that's not Max. Okay. So
you shake him up and just aim him somewhere. Let all the rant just go. When we need to turn it off, you just bring Aaron in and it shuts him completely down. It's fun.
So he's gonna eat for a bit. Use the unripe angry apple. Max is an angry apple icon. Ripe angry apple icon. Okay. So would you put that in Kingmaker for your own table?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Have you ran Kingmaker?
I have not.
I'm not trying to be like I'm better than you because I've ran Kingmaker, because I haven't ran it since 2013. And it ended on TPK.
Yeah.
Not
I think that was our group, I think. No, that wasn't our group.
Jacob took over your group.
Yeah, and it lasted about 3 weeks after that, and he ran it into the ground.
Yeah. Well, he was what, 18 at the time, inheriting a 8-person gaming group that had barely been in check, held by me, and then he's like, all right, Bruce is gone. Let's do this. There's a mountain. Take the plane into the mountain.
Herding the cats was not his forte.
No, he's not good at herding cats, which I hate to say that, but that's a gamer thing. And he's a very nice guy. He really is, but he's an engineer, and his thought process is more lateral.
Yeah.
He's got a more angled and precise thought process, and he didn't do well. He called me up and he told me this like 3 months after I showed up down here. And he's like, I'm sorry, man, but your group is gone. I'm like, God damn it.
Well, that was also the time the store was starting to
shut down.
Yep. So
that is a sad time for Washington.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, because you guys, there used to be a GameStop repair facility on your way into Sunnyland. And so GameStop would send all of their, and Hollywood Video would send all their busted 360s and Nintendo Wiis there. Remember this place?
Yeah, I worked there.
Yeah. And like everybody we knew that was from the store, and I'm trying to interpret this. This is a Peoria metro, probably 200,000 people. And so there's probably a high influx of gamers there because it's Peoria, which is Caterpillar Central for the moment.
No, not anymore.
What? No, not so much anymore because they're ruining that area.
No, they took everything to Chicago.
Like I said, well, they just contribute now to the poverty. They closed how many factories on the Illinois River closed down?
Oh, I don't know.
Lots.
I lost count.
Yeah, damn near all of them. Anyway, so we had a gamer-rich area, and for being just 200,000 people, we had 3 stores that were catering to people. 2 of them, which actually had good selection, and one of those 2 had great service. The other one had a fun guy and his wife running it, but he kind of missed some things here and there. And he'll tell you that he did, because like he realizes the mistakes he made, and he was dealing with the death of his father and a bunch of other stuff going on at the time, and the loss of his job at Mitsubishi, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we had a bunch of people at this gamer geek place, and they were fixing iPhones, 360s. I mean, everything that GameStop could rent out, and other tech locations were like, hey, do you have these tools to fix these items? We're going to ship you pallets of this stuff. And then fucking Hollywood Video closed down. And there went that job. That basically is the middle or the central Illinois end to any story. And then my job left the state. So anyway, that area.
We are off topic.
Yes, we are off topic.
And and Heathen Dog's not here yet, so we can't go that far off topic because I know you're not that drunk.
We have to. The main thing is that, what do you remember about? Well, you put the QB dolls in every game.
I try to. Because sometimes, you know, even when you have the best intentions, sometimes the games just fall apart.
They do. I tend to try to, like, my current game almost fell apart on me because I was running the campaign and the players were not taking any hooks. Like, they're in a depressed area, much like Illinois, and they're adventuring around in an area where the ground has been salted. There's very few fertile areas. A lot of it is barren. It looks like South Texas. You have scrub everywhere. The most prolific tree down there is a mesquite. Okay. In the place where they're adventuring. So I basically turned where they're at into South Texas because it's not a very fertile area. It actually real life helped me paint a picture in the players' minds. So the players were taking no hooks from the campaign we're in. And so I threw them in the middle of an invasion and started the Iron Fang invasion campaign path, which I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, I am not.
There's a lot of callbacks and a lot of member berries in that entire 6-book series that go back to, like, Zastam's dungeon, various bits of Barrier Peaks or Expedition to the Barrier Peaks and things like that. It calls back older modules on a very consistent basis. And the players are finally at the point now where they're actually beating back the bad guys. They're doing what they're supposed to, but they had to get their foothold first. Shadzar's like, well, you know, it depends on what subsystem you mean, because Geek Squad tech can be used for randomizing lots of things like simple JSS, CSS, HTML tables, or RNG systems for unknown things in the game. Isn't that all subsystems are for? Rolling more dice for different things? Yeah. That's exactly what it's for, Shadzar. And what we do is that we have our favorite pony, which we trot out for every game that to roll. And mine is Kingmaker. The players are actually at the point where they're going to be possibly going into that position of a game where they're going to be helping people settle in an area and trying to cultivate it in the middle of an invasion and trying to keep the bad guys from beating down their doors and walls. But they've got to set up their home first. And if they can't, then they're not going to survive. They're not going to have the resources enough to survive. It doesn't matter what level spells you have. If you cannot amass the numbers needed to repress an army to keep them away, that's exactly the problem they're going to face. Shadzar, we had a donkey show until Greg went batshit crazy in the campaign, and he slaughtered all of my donkey handlers and almost killed the donkey. No, Greg went apeshit because we had a guy that we worked with that he had a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and I took some verbal cues off of him. Hi, Arrows in the Dark. How are you? We had this situation pop up at our job where this guy was just a very unlikable person. And usually when you have people with mental disabilities, usually you treat them with, like, you know, kindness, and they're pretty happy. You feed them ice cream and they're, like, you know, able to do stuff. Well, this guy, we couldn't really get him to work, and he was at a job. And worse yet, anybody he had to talk to during the day, he just would rub them the wrong way, customers or staff alike. So I told the boss, you need to take Mike here and you need to put him under your wing and see if you can do anything with him, because I've had him for 3 months. The guy is just not learning. And the boss was like, "What? You can teach anybody anything? I've seen you work." I'm like, "I need people with a cognitive function, and this guy doesn't have it." Well, anyway, they put him with Greg, and the following weekend when we were playing, Greg did not want to hear any donkey handlers sounding like Mike from work, and so he killed each and every one of them in the game, so I wouldn't do that voice anymore. Shadzar's like, "I don't want to know what he did with the donkeys after." After he had his outburst, his character retreated and left the play area. He retired that character. He's like, "That guy's gonna get killed. I really don't want to be in the campaign when Bruce kills my character. Not like that, because he would use everybody else to kill my character. Not want to have the entire table."
Just one druid. With a wand of summon donkeys, and he summons them 50 feet in the air, and they drop on him.
I was just thinking about a wand of reincarnate.
Oh, we're gonna have waffles.
I have some reincarnate every night. So we have.
Oh my lord!
Yeah, Greg has caused some drama at my table. Some people don't like Greg. And if Greg stays as part of the table, that's great. And if he does not, that's great too. I'm okay either way. He's a friend of mine, but he knows he's pissed off people at the table with his antics. And you get those. You get some guys sometimes that they mean to entertain, but they come off selfish, and that's like a problem with him. He's a good guy. He has fun ideas. The execution of his ideas is not good. But
no, that's the issue. It's an execution.
Yeah, and I don't want to have the execution. I really don't want the players to have a lot of in-party fighting, but that could happen. It's a gaming table. I mean, you're not in control of it. You just assembled the Avengers together. For them to get along, they have to fight first, right?
Are you trying to say that the donkeys were their Coulson?
My mind is blown. So
I had to. I couldn't help myself.
It's all right. That was funny. So you put Cupies in every game you run.
I try to, yeah.
What do the Cupies do for long-term play?
They make they tend to make the players a little bit more paranoid, because now they're anytime that they see a Cupid doll or the Cupid dolls look like little fairy, like baby fairies, basically.
Yeah.
So it's always fun to throw little mundane Cupid dolls at them too later on, because then they're all scarred. Ah, no, they're all scarred and run away. But I mean, that's one thing. I mean, then we have switching systems. A buddy of mine who runs Exalted. He's run. It's his world. It's based off of it's first edition, based off the book. And
when you say first edition Exalted,
yes, first edition Exalted, because there's 3 currently. But first edition Exalted, which was really nice because he actually remembers what he did with each group, and he's run several groups. And he'll even have them, little snippets from other campaigns that our folks have heard about. Which that's not really like a subsystem, but it is something that he has. So running a subsystem doesn't necessarily mean you have to have another book or something along that. But even if you're a longtime DM who's been running the same world, the that could be your little subsystem, is that you kind of tie all of your campaigns together with, because all the campaigns take, there's some over here, there's some up north, there's some in the south, some in the east, some that just everywhere. And it winds up being very entertaining, especially if you've played in several of these, because he'll make a comment about something and you're like, oh crap, okay, so we're going to be dealing with this stuff, player knowledge, but character knowledge, well, except for mine has, my player knowledge and character knowledge are basically the same, because he tells me I have to play the same guy every time. But I rode so well in it that the one of the Maidens of Lust, I have a personal transport to her home. Yeah, it's yeah, that's a whole other thing. But so my point is that really you don't have to have a subsystem necessarily as another book or a module or something along those lines. It could also be a world, because there are DMs out there that have their own worlds. Throwing little tidbits out there left and right. Well, there's rumors about a group up north that are fighting an ancient evil, in the east that are doing, they're looking for the sacred artifact of of a deity.
Shantara stones.
Yeah, it's when especially when you're traveling through and you have a like bard or something along those lines, your bard is going to find out a lot of stuff, and that, to me, it adds a little bit of flavor to it too, because then you're wondering, well, what's going on in that game, or what happened in that game. So I mean, that's another thing that you can really do is the adding subsystems or adding more to your game only going to add, sometimes it can be a headache for the DM if you choose to do that, but there are other times where it will help you lay flavor
Garrett,
and additional hooks.
Were you there with me when we went to go see Your Highness for experience points?
No, I was.
Okay.
That's when I missed.
Okay.
I was the one that brought the Star Wars Christmas special over.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was a special day.
The look of horror on it, and it was I believe it also had the Rift Track version on that.
It had the Rift Track version, and it had the original current commercials on it.
Yep.
Now, the one
so
thing
it was even better.
As a DM, what I like to do, I like to give experience points for players that they do things like that, because they will add to your campaign by giving you a media piece that you can draw from. And I draw from the Star Wars Holiday Special far more than I want to admit. But Garrett has enriched my life with the worst outing Star Wars had before The Last Jedi. And I've only seen bits and pieces of The Last Jedi. I can only watch so much, and then I just turn it off. I'm done. I'm done. But the holiday special, I can watch that through and through. And watching Tim Conway do 3 separate parts: stir, whip, stir, whip, stir, whip, whip, whip. Anyway, it has improved my game just to have that as gaming vernacular. The right subsystem can add a lot of verisimilitude to a campaign. Yes, it does. And that's why I always talk about the Pathfinder Kingmaker engine, because you have a monthly roll you have to do. The players have to figure out how to keep the populace happy, and on whatever opiates they've got to feed them to the populace, either tax-free month, or hey, we've got festivals every day, or things of that nature. Whatever you can do to keep the populace happy, and watching your players try to bend their characters in ways that they had no idea they were going to be doing. Like, I didn't think the system was this robust. And Pathfinder's Kingmaker system is very robust. You
Well,
have,
and
go ahead.
you can also, to that same point, you can do what we did when originally we started playing Pathfinder, if you remember.
What do you mean?
Well, if you remember correctly, when we really started getting after we did the first initial dive into Pathfinder, seeing how close it was to 3.5, we jumped right into Batolas with it.
Yeah.
And technically that is a subsystem.
It's a subsystem that takes up 670 pages on your bookshelf. But yeah, Tolus is one of the best campaigns I've ever had the pleasure of running. There it is. That right there, kids. That is a multi-$100 book now.
Yeah, when I got this, what was it, 10 years ago? I think I wound up paying $500. It retailed for 120.
Oh, 120? Wow.
Yep. Yeah, then you also got this with it. It had a CD in it.
Got any modules in there too?
Well, it has, the
Bane Warrens, the Night of Disillusion.
Well, it has the at a glance districts of the city, like general information.
Yeah. That is a complete city system. And there's been plenty of things that were labeled city system in the day for second ed and for third ed. But when Tolus came out in 2006, that blew everybody's doors off. And there were a lot of DMs that then, when they could afford it, they felt that it was the one thing that elevated their game above and beyond where they had been before. And it did change a lot of things for me because it taught me how to think in things of keeping everything connected. You have 13 wards of the city. You have 17 campaign factions. You have 7 or 8 tiers of adventuring, including the surface of the city, the caverns below, the sewers, the drow city right above right below the dwarf. This is the second time in our chat, Web Warrior, that somebody has talked about Worlds Without Number, the Kingdom faction system. I'm going to have to get a hold of that because everybody talks about it, and I think it might be worthy of my shelf. Indigo Dragon is correct, yes. It was probably the best 3X campaign setting because it gave you so much material to work with as a DM. You were never at a point in that city where you're like, I don't know what I want my players to do right now. No, you always have something for them to go do. There's always something for them to do in that city.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you're playing as. You could play as an adventuring party. You could be an entire party of city guards. There's an entire campaign waiting to be ran where you're guards in Tolus. And either you're developing like a Serpico type of campaign where you're dealing with the corruption within the system and within the Temple of Lothian, or you're dealing with like just dungeon delving, but you're doing this to clear out areas in the Warrens because the Warrens is a bad place. It's one of the few places where the drow can be seen above ground. Web Warrior, you're talking about Worlds Without Number? I don't have the PDF either. Indigo Dragon, I'm not tempted about the new versions. See, the reason why is that Frog God Games did a 5e version of Rapanathuk, and I hear all these players from 5e talk about how they beat Orcus, and I'm like, your DM just didn't like the source material because Orcus isn't supposed to die. Orcus is supposed to kill the players, or they're supposed to die at the undead. Die at the undead's calling, and then Orcus turns them into specters and shit. Well,
I will say we had one of the best ideas for killing Orcus. We never got there, but we had one of the best ideas.
Was that when Zach was playing the werewolf
Nope.
thing?
Nope. It was the one where we were going to take the bag of holding tied to the end of an arrow, put a portable hole rolled up in a glass tube, attach it to the arrow, and fire them.
Okay.
WMDs.
Yeah. That would have been an interesting thing to see. I think his spell resistance would have kicked in. It turns into
There's no
pile
spell
of magic.
resistance
What?
on that. There's no spell resistance.
There actually
It's
is.
an explosion.
He would have SR to that.
Well, it would have cleared out the rest of the undead, though.
Yeah, the rest of the undead around him, yeah, that would have affected him greatly. Yeah, buy the PDF on Drive-Thru RPG, then go to Lulu to print it for you, and you're going to have a better product out of Lulu. Lulu actually loves books. Drive-Thru RPG, I think, has the Paizo mentality of their print on demand, because their print on demand products suck. Like, I love Drive-Thru RPG for selling me books and things already made, but I cannot stand their print products they've put through a binder. Okay, Web Warrior, thank you.
Oh, they actually have a free edition too on
Of
Drive-Thru
what?
of the PDF.
Of what?
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
I will hook some people up. Copies and pasties go.
Cool. Yeah, there's a free edition and he's got a print edition.
I like the word free.
So do I. Garrett, do you have a gaming group right now, or are you looking for one, or no?
I do not have a gaming. Oh, I have a every other Saturday one that we do, but I'm not running that one. We're doing Dark Crusade, Warhammer 40K. We're all playing Chaos Marines.
Okay. Huh. Kevin Crawford put up a free version of Worlds Without Number and Stars Without Number. Sweet. The reason why I talk about this, if you will do a Google search for The Lonely Coast by Raging Swan Press, it is a free 96 or 128 page, I can't remember which, chock full of stuff for a small area to run a campaign in. And it is a free download. If you could put that in the chat for the people here, because there's really...
Give me a second.
Like, heretic! I love having Chads in the chat. Like there's something about that campaign system for the Lonely Coast where if you're a DM and you're like a lot of my friends, you don't have all the money in the world, like that campaign setting is rich. And you've got a lot of stuff available for free off of the Creighton Broadhurst site, off the RPG, Drive-Thru RPG site, and off of the Raging Swan Press site. He will give you so many things to just run your game. Just use my stuff here.
Yeah, he actually. Well, he has a OSR version too,
Yeah,
and a fifth ed.
yeah. It is a perfect campaign system, in my opinion, because it does bring back the old style. You adventure through the wilderness stuff, but there's all these little interconnected towns. All of them have their own various things going on, and there's a little feeling of discontent in a few places. Like Oakhurst has a vermin god that keeps popping up here and there, and it's just it's just a very fun place for, uh, taking your newbies out for a walk and just letting them run around. It's a great place to hex crawl. You've got tons of adventures that he has put out on the Raging Swan Press website. That right there, that link, if you guys don't have the Lonely Coast in your repertoire of things to run, put your players in there and just let them loose. And they will find you adventure. There's stuff to do there. There's so much stuff to do there. But you have a bunch of little modules that are written for that area. You have a lot of villages that are super detailed for like less than $3 or $4. Um, I'm just going to say that Raging Swan Press is one of the best in the business, and he keeps his adventure materials. 90% of it is like $5 and less, and he just throws it out there. He should be writing novels, but instead he takes his amazing ability to write and he gives us RPG booklets and pamphlets. And originally he wrote things for Pathfinder, but now he's broadened out because he doesn't want to die of starvation, and he's doing things with 5e and system neutral and OSR stuff. It's good. His stuff is amazing. Garrett, do you remember the campaign I ran for you guys before Jacob took over it? Do you
Yeah,
remember?
for the most part.
Okay, because I occasionally I'll go back and I'll watch that playlist of videos we made, and I haven't really changed my DMing ways since then. If you watch me then, you watch me now. Not much has changed. I've gotten a little bit better, but that was 10 years, and I've DM'd a lot. But I would love to have a group as big as that Kingmaker campaign, because we had what, 8 people playing it like every night.
Yeah, something like that.
What are you scoping there? You look like you're reading something kind of disturbing.
No, I'm pulling down that stuff from Drive Through RPG. I gotta
Ah,
put it in the right spot.
okay. Yeah, shads are. I had a pepperoni, tomato, and lettuce hoagie, and it was delicious. Hello, Edge of Time. How are you tonight? The the thing about Stars Without Number and Worlds Without Number that really interests me is just it looks like a system that it has very few rules but uses everything as its oyster. And that's one thing that impresses me about Kevin Crawford's work. Did you ever use the convoy and shipping materials from the Jade Regent Adventure Path, Garrett, or no?
No, I have not played the Jade Regent Adventure Path.
It wasn't bad. It was
I
it was
think
different.
I think the last one that I played was Kingmaker, and then after that, it was kind of like that was about the time you left, and I had some other things that were going on in life. So
Yeah, I remember. Now, about the same time that I left, for about a year, I was DMing on Saturdays until I went in the oil field, and then after that, I just started doing everything I could on the days off that I had. Gaming day was the day where Bruce saved money. I'll just say that. Not that doing other things wasn't fun, but I really like saving money. I probably shouldn't whisper like that. That creeps people out.
a little bit.
Who's in Twitch?
What?
Who is in Twitch?
No, I'm not. I'm not streaming.
Oh, I thought you were.
No,
Okay.
I was just
So,
actually agreeing with you. Are you saying you don't want to be agreed with, Bruce? Huh?
well, most of the
Is that
time,
what
no.
you're saying?
That you might want to consider your thoughts on that. Shadzar's like, I ordered Hero Quest from Hasbro in September 2020. I still haven't got it. Yeah. Okay. So another thing I like to do when I run a game is I'll have about 10 items that I will occasionally milk. I'll write down just some bullet points on my notes, and whenever the game is dragging a bit, or if I've got the ability to have a character be distracted by something like the ooh shiny, it seems to work out better for me that I do that. Whenever you prepare for your game, do you do things like that, Garrett, or what do you do whenever you run?
A lot of times I'm running my game off the top of my head. I'll have a few. I take a little bit from everything. I'll
Okay.
take from pulp culture books. I'll take from whatever, is in the brain at the time.
Yeah, Arrows in the Dark, 98, 98. Yeah. My crew, when I was in the oil field, yeah, we love to spend money, but man, it felt a lot better to save it and be able to spend it all at once on something important rather than just flexing. Hey, look, I've got a $70 meal on one of my nights where I have to work tomorrow. Yeah, it sucked. Though it was nice being able to buy the entire table a round of beer whenever we finish a job and we're on our way back home. Um, Shadler's like, nah, it just means they print all these things in China. Yeah, we don't have anybody in the rowboat navy over on the west coast to go figure out which one of those ships has your stuff, dude. Otherwise, I'd be like, go after Malaysian super tanker, blah 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 blah. You China, just kidding, just kidding. China number one. China number one. No trust China. It is asshole. You have to clip that out. Oh wait, we're not streaming on Twitch. My bad.
That's all right. It's just your own channel,
Yeah. I'm making money on YouTube right now. I don't need any mortal gold. Hello, Apollo Patriot. Side note, this guy right here, Apollo Patriot, this young man right here made over 1,000 subscribers off of doing how to get outfits for certain games, mostly first person shooters. And he grinded the hell out of it. And he's still like a 1,200, 1,300. He's done less work in a year than what I have. And the guy is actually churning money out of Aunt Susan right now. I'm proud of you, dude. You did really good. Congratulations, Apollo Patriot. And if you guys want to play Call of Duty or Ghost Recon and you want to figure out how to accentuate your character to a certain degree, Garrett, can you find Apollo Patriot's channel, or do you want me to grab that?
I can do it. Hold on.
Yeah, Apollo doesn't even talk in his channel. He just shows you how to do things, and people subscribe. But if you want to, follow him, and he's got good videos. He's got good advice if you play those popular FPSs. He's probably staying away from Battlefield while they patch it up, because it looks like it needs patching. Yeah, so thank you, sir. Guys, Baron G Rock's last comment here on the chat is a quick link over to Apollo Patriots. Go ahead and open that up in another tab and give that man a subscription. He's doing Ghost Recon outfits right now. He also does other outfits. He does a lot of stuff. He's multi-talented if you like game streams. A lot of us do.
And just drop your miniature and break it. Yeah. It's okay.
It's one of those plastic bones figures, so this is one of the last ones they printed off overseas. They're doing a lot of printing off of these in Texas now, which makes me super happy. So you get your characters to about 6th or 7th level, and your players are people of importance. Around 7th level, 6th level, your players in modern 3.x and onwards, upwards RPGs are typically people that others have heard about, or there's stories about them. Because that's about the same time when the feat leadership comes into play. Now, back in the old 2nd edition AD&D days, you would get 9th level and you'd either be given a temple or a fighting school or a business, a bunch of hirelings and retainers. Reaper bones, so it's 90% used tires. I don't know. This might be just cast off bits of petroleum from the Exxon refinery up there. I don't know, but I use these. I prefer Reaper figs every day compared to these little figures from WizKids, because I think the Reaper figures have better sculpts. I think they hold sculpts a lot better. The WizKids, they try to milk every figure out of the line, and if you get a figure made at the very end, you get some really crappy figures. Yeah, they're 2 for $5, but save your money and buy a Reaper for free and get great, for crying out loud, because you've got. Like, this is a Bones Black figure. You can tell the detail on this cat right off the bat. This guy is ready to go. He's got his scroll. He's got his scabbard there. You can see the little ruffles in his clothing. That's perfect. This is a 2nd generation WizKids figure. The sculpt is pretty good, but this is at the start of the release. So the lines are pretty fresh, but there's a lot of figures from WizKids that towards the end of the line, they look at the feet of the ghouls. They look like Deadpool feet from the comics. They're bad.
Melted bunny slippers.
Yeah. Well, these legs go straight in the ground. There's no arch. There's no toes. There's nothing. They just go straight in the ground. Yeah, the Mage Knight figures, but not the metal ones, the plastic ones. What the fuck is this blob? I have no idea. It's a monster. Okay. Ob's Slimes and Jellies. Here we go. Apollo Patriot, the Blue Twi'lek figures are from WizKids when they were doing Star Wars randomized figures. Oh, the Edge of Time, they look like Brie Larson feet. Ooh. Oh no, Shadzar. You bought 2 of the Simon minis ever. Oh no. No. Well, Apollo Patriot, for those of you who don't know, some people have a thing for female feet. Some people have a thing for boobs. Some people have a thing for the round peach. Apollo Patriot, he watches those movies for the Twi'leks. The little Twi'lek girls just make him go crazy. They make him go nuts. And it's just a time when Apollo Patriot turns off all the cameras in the Pantheon, and he just has private Apollo time. Yeah. Twi'leks everywhere. Anyway, so 6th level, your players are in your campaign, and you give them. Oh no, Shadzar's like, I have 2 sealed boxes of Mage Knight Rebellion Alpha sitting right beside my desk right now, complete with all the what? What's the LEs?
Lawful evils.
The legends of Brie Larson's Yeti heritage are only half true. Awesome. The players get 6th level. Throw them a Cupid doll. Let them do detect magic on it. It's going to have some enchantment energy on it, and they're not going to feel too happy. You ever use the Pugwampies, Garrett?
Mm-mm.
Pugwampies have an aura that extends around them for 30 foot of unluck. So every D20 roll you have to roll twice and take the worst.
You roll disadvantage?
This was before disadvantage. Paizo did it first in 2011 with the witch character class. Let's stop pretending. The limited editions. Both boxes labeled Ralpartha on them. That's awesome.
They both say Prada. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through all my paints and I figured out I have to get all new metallics because all my other paints were fine.
The metallics are shit, though.
Oh, well, they were the Citadel.
Those are kind of old, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, the last time I painted was when you were in town.
When I lived there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
But all my P3s are fine. Perfect.
The privateer 3s?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those last.
Those last forever, man.
They're not my favorite paint, but they do last a long time. So if you're looking for something that's going to stay on your desk for a good long time and be good when you finally uncork it, yeah, P3s are a way to go. You're going to post some Battlefield 2042 music? Dude. Paulo, let us know.
Ray of the Valkyries, man. All the way.
So it should be. Okay. So the players will find a Cupid doll. And one of them should stick it in their back pocket like Greg Brady when he went on vacation to Hawaii. Stainless steel cup, MR detected. Yeah.
Nobody got time for all that, Shad.
Apollo, if you take off, man, I want you to have a great night, and I want you to make some new videos. I want you to make some money, bro. Because you seriously, you unlocked it. You figured out the algorithm. Anyway, so give the players a Cupid doll and let them go adventuring and let them find something that's going to cause them a lot of interesting conversations. Now, this Cupid doll doesn't have to have like a malevolent power on it, where like if you try surfing, you fall off your surfboard right when there's a shark around. Nope. Instead, the Cupid doll could have something like, this makes people lose, the people that stand around you will lose charisma points, and they become very talkative. And they don't know why, they just feel like talking more. But there's no save. All they've got to do is just walk away.
Or you could even have one where, it literally every time that as long as it's on your person or within a certain distance of you, you have to make sure you don't fumble your weapon every time you make a hit. Your fingers slip. You can't figure out why. You can come up with all kinds of creative things to do. You don't have to actually, do everything from the book as written.
No, you don't. If you figure out a way for you to do it better, use it for you. And even more importantly, write it down and share, because somebody might need what you have and they might owe you $1 for your thoughts. Which that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
And I mean, truthfully, one of the this goes more to like table rules and stuff like that. Bruce, because I played a cleric forever in his games.
Brother Ronaldo.
Yeah, recycle, same name. I just got tired of trying to figure out names, so it was just the same name every time. But the like in the Pathfinder, doing the dual channel, so you heal and harm at the same time. You can figure out stuff like that. The even table rules could be considered a subsystem of what you're playing. House rules, table rules, whatever you want to call them. So I mean, you're not limited to what's written, or even world wise. There are there are a lot of different things that can be considered a subsystem.
Yeah. We actually turn that into our table. That's part of our table Bible. Channeling affects everything within that radius in one way or another. If you do it around plants, the plants will probably bloom if you do positive channeling. If you do a negative channeling, they're going to wilt a little bit. If you do it around demons, they function like live individuals. So positive channeling will heal a demon, negative channeling will hurt it. It's still a living, breathing creature. It's just got an unusual anatomy because it's an outsider. We made that for our table because I really liked that. I thought it was a good way to run a game. Pathfinder had that in the beta. I don't know if you remember that, but
Yep.
that was part of the beta. Like if you had a cleric burst channel positive, all the allies around him would bolster and gain healing, and all the undead nearby would wither away. It was great. And then they changed that. You have to select one or the other who you're going to affect. And that was the core rules. We didn't really like that. And so it affected us in the fact that we were able to do things more efficiently with our table. And I just kind of ran with it. And I never got out of that. I made some small refinements, like all of the archetypes for Rogue out of the Advanced Player's Guide. Garrett, what do they all give up at first level?
I have no idea.
Trap finding.
Oh yeah.
They all give up trap finding. That's a fucking rogue specialty. But if you want to be a poisoner, if you want to be a knife master, if you want to be everything, Legion of Myth is like, yay, I have access to the internet again. Fucking Spectrum. Sorry, dude. I've got Spectrum too. I get it. I like Spectrum over here. They actually do their work, but they've got a lot of people here. Yeah, shads are like blessed. Shouldn't it affect everyone? Exactly. And you're a cleric. So everything that you're around when you burst a channel positive should be affected. And it shouldn't be selective, because really your deity would want you to be able to affect everything around him. And not be like, well, I have to burst twice, once to heal my friends, and then in 6 seconds I get to do it to affect the undead, but it won't affect the other. Whenever I target this group, it won't affect the other group. I think it's BS. Well, no, start blessing an area, and a bless spell only gives a +1 to hit and a +1 to save versus fear for your allies. Or you can take your bless spell and bless a quarrel or a quiver, 20 arrows or 10 crossbow bolts, and you can affect them. And
for the duration of the spell.
And more often than not, you get more channel positives than you do first level spells at the start of the game. More often than not. Spectrum is just a pubic hair higher grade than Time Warner. Over here, they're a conglomerate. They are one. And John, if you want to join up, man, click the link in the Discord for Gatekeepers or in Legion of Myth. And that goes for anybody else. We are an hour and 14 minutes into this stream. We're not running out of topics by any means. But I'm telling you guys that this is a stream dedicated to things that you can use at your table and reasons why I thought people should probably use Kingmaker's kingdom building rules for their own games. It doesn't have to be PF. If you want to run it for 5e, they actually have a 5e version, but you can port it to anything based on D&D. And it only takes a little bit of work from you as a GM. Everything leads you through the steps. There's a step for what you do every month. There's steps for how you figure out the public attitude, how much money's coming in, what random events happen. The subsystems for that Pathfinder setup are almost perfect. Anyway, the other thing we did was like with these archetypes in Pathfinder, all of them trade off the iconic things for that character class from the core rulebook. And I hate that. I really do. I think that the archetypes are a neat idea, but the things you trade off are things that you actually need for that character class. Like our Dagger Master can't find traps. This is horrible. And so what we would do is for a feat, later on, I'd have basically a night school set up where everybody, if you gave up something for the archetype you're involved with, you can spend a feat and you get trap finding back. And in the archetype actual rules from the APG, you could select which of the items you picked up at those levels that you would have those options available to you. So you're not forced into taking the archetype. You could actually select and choose. Robert, the Pathfinder deity that he is, he figured out how to make a 20th level sniper and then how to make a really good skirmisher using 5 levels of rogue and 15 levels of ranger for each of those. Damn it. Legion of Myth, what the hell is wrong with you? All right. Here we go. Click on that. Embargo. Okay. So with the archetypes, yeah, they say they were improved in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I'm not a PF2 guy.
PF2 feels a lot like 5th Ed.
Yeah, it does. And I don't want to play 5th Edition. I didn't want to play 4th Edition, which is why I went into Pathfinder. I wanted a heavy, crunchy system that gave my players a lot of options. But as every successive rulebook or concussive rulebook came out, you really had to keep an eye on your players, and you had to make sure things fit within the theme of your game world. Otherwise, it just felt like, fuck, we're playing some homogenized BS. And even though Paizo's Galarian is meant to cater to every table, this is before 5th Ed came out. They had a campaign world written for Galarian where they had everything in it. The kitchen sink was there too. And you could have the Lords of Light campaign in what was that? Numeria. There's an actual country in Galarian where their spaceship crashed. So the expedition to Barrier Peak.
Oh yeah.
Is there. You've got these little coins that you find. They're actually batteries for all the stuff you find, all the technological bits you find. But people just trade them as coins because they have no idea what that thing is in the mountain. They're just scared by the radiated creatures around it, so they don't go up there. The spaceship's got technology on it. It's pretty cool. So Max has gators in his lines. Master Blaster runs Bartertown. Embargo lifted. But yeah, you have a very interesting series of countries and locations in Galarian, but it was just too homogenized because you could just pick up your campaign you had in Dragonlance or in what is that place for 3.5? Eberron? Eberron. And you could just put it in Galarian and it would feel like the same exact thing, which is our entire complaint of 5th edition and in the other game where they're like, well, we just want you to have no different feelings among the campaigns you play. You should be able to have a Dragonborn. Oh my god, Max. Spinning wheel when I click the link, rebooting the router one more time.
Feed the hamsters more.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You're
Make them
BS.
run.
Go ahead.
Make them run.
Yeah. I'm gonna send Shadzar over to your house. He's gonna fix the Unix, the mainframe, and we're gonna get everything running again. Shadzar, by the way, if I ever win the lottery, you're gonna have to relocate. We're gonna need you to run the interwebs over here. Garrett, you'll have a summer house. Well, I don't think you could I wouldn't do that to you. You'd have a winter house because summer would probably kill you. You're an Irishman. I mean, up north you can get away with being a roofer, but down here you would die if you stepped outside in August. We have to keep you safe.
No, I just burst. I would become a lobster instantly. I am the pasty white guy for a reason.
So you have Pathfinder second ed, and it feels like to me it's like 5th edition mixed with World of Warcraft gameplay, which WoW isn't bad. WoW is a good way to get your normal friends into gaming. Now, if they stay there too long, they think that's normal, but it's not because we have other better things like EverQuest or Astronaut's Call or things like that. I don't do that anymore. I ran broadband internet services before there was broadband internet. Yeah, I had a shotgun modem for my first PC. The shotgun is you have 2 dial-up lines going to your PC, and it would alternate the data bits going into it. And it was not really something that FrontierNet thought that I was going to use, so I had to pay the bill twice a month. Anyway, but yeah, it sucked, man, because FrontierNet sucks dick. I will publicly say that they were horrible. Everybody had 56K while I was out installing trunk lines for 2 months. Jesus. See, and that's why everybody needs a geeky friend. Everybody needs a person that knows geek items and good tech, because if you don't, you're going to be on 56K with a 400 ping on a Quake Rocket Leagues or Rocket Arena server, wondering why you can't get anything done, and you keep getting railgunned.
Yeah, we're talking, what is it? Either first or second quarter next year of launching 10 gigabit download.
Nice.
It should be fun.
Hey, Garrett, I'm going to take you back. Remember that?
Lord.
Oh, God. Sorry, guys.
Back in your day, we logged into AOL, and that's the sound we heard.
So that was the sound from ICQ.
Before we had social network. AOL. Yeah, but you had to use AOL to get online, and as soon as it got online, then that started.
So, yeah, I'm a geek, and I'm an older geek, so that's fine. Everybody needs you need the older crowd of people because they can tell you tricks and tips that there's still backdoors to use those old forgotten ways. And download 2 movies per second. Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to probably within the next month. They just ran fiber last week. No, the week before, outside in front of my house. So I'll be having fiber coming to the house.
Nice.
There'll be 1 gigabit down, 400 megabit up.
I don't know what my speed is. ICQ, what moron used that? Trillion, hello. Or straight up IRC. IRC was good. I never used Trillion. My BattleNet clan used ICQ. Yeah, because back in the day we played Diablo. Oh my God. It's Heathen Dog. Everybody, please give a warm welcome to our friend Heathen Dog. Hello, sir.
Is this a sober heathen dog or a drunk
No, it's
heathen
Heathen
dog?
Drunk. I should change my name.
How do you change your name on this anyway?
You go to edit name, and Bob's your uncle. Boom. There it is.
Yeah, you're gonna have to check your cord again.
Oh,
You're
God
kind of
damn
going in and out.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm gonna try and give it some slack, make it like me. All right. How about that?
That sounds good.
Okay.
Much better. You're stable.
All right, good. All right, so from the discussion, I haven't been here. Does anyone remember the last line from the old classic comedy mystery Clue movie?
I haven't seen that movie.
Okay, you haven't
been
seen
a
the movie
long time.
Clue? Seriously?
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Okay, well, what I was doing was the last line of that movie, which, you know, if you want to find out, you can look it up.
Okay.
But I was busy. So from what I understand, this is about subsystems. Can you explain that to me? And to everyone listening who wasn't listening before?
Basically, what we were talking about is things that you bring into your game. Like Bruce, when he's running a Pathfinder game, what he'll do is bring in the subsystem for Kingmaker, or like me, I'll bring in the one of the modules, bring in the little Cupid dolls out of the carnival of the hell was that carnival the carnival one that they put out. And then also that necessarily a subsystem doesn't need to be an actual like book. It could be somebody's what is it?
Like a
Somebody's so like bring homebrew stuff in, or it could even be a world that the DM has. This is where all of his games are at.
Oh, okay.
And he drops little things here and there about what other adventurers are doing and whatnot. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. The one I like to what I like to do most with all of my games, whether they're storyteller games or role play games or ROLL play games, just to get people into their character, to think like their character when they make decisions. At the end of every game session, I will give extra experience points. Not a lot, but a significant amount. It's not going to be game breaking or game changing, but if they write down what their character has learned, and if their character's goals have changed because of actions that have taken place, I like to bring that into all of my games, and I find that it brings people closer to their character in the way they act at the table, because they have a clear and written down concise idea of what their character wants and needs. Beyond that, setting wise, I mean, I know Max Layow's here, so setting wise, I don't really have a setting, except I don't like super high magic. That's just neither here nor there. But what I bring from the game outside. Okay, how about this? What I've seen other people bring from outside the game. I have seen people bring character generators. I don't know if you count this, but either character generators they got off the internet or they bought from the company. Chaosium had one a long time ago, which they no longer support, and I can't find. Hero System had a hero generator that they made, and it actually had backstory options in it where you could formulate your own backstory, you know, with game master approval. So software I've seen a lot, especially lately, to help characters involve themselves in the backstory and in the game itself.
The two things here, Heathen Dog, your audio is going in and out and then left to right. It's really weird. It's like it's doing a test routine. I wish I was joking, but no.
I know. It is funny, but yeah, I get it. It when this happens, it does settle down. I mean, it very well could be Streamlabs, because when I'm on Discord, it doesn't do this.
Huh.
But yeah, I am at my main rig right now, and it does the same thing on my Sunday RPG Digest rig, which is in the next room. But it does settle down after a while.
Okay. And everybody give John Schlow or Max Liao a hearty welcome. Welcome, buddy.
Sorry, he was making me dizzy. He was spinning me around with that audio. I was relaxing. I'm actually, I sit down finally, and now I want to fall asleep after today. So about subsystems, the only subsystem I actually had to think about this for a moment. Are there subsystems that I use that are outside like whatever game I'm playing?
Or outside the core rules, like I just like what add-ons.
Yeah, I don't use. I tend not to use them. I'm often a purist when I run and play my games, but I think one of them I do use is I tend to use if a game doesn't come with it, I tend to have some sort of random encounter table. I don't make it as quite as big as like the tables, the 2D10s or whatever it was in AD&D Second Edition, but I have like 5 random encounters that they can possibly come across, 3 to 5.
So is that your own thing, or did you get it from a third-party book?
No, it's my own thing. It's still subsystem because it's not part of the game, but it's my own thing. It's based on the Second Edition AD&D Monster Compendiums, where it had stuff in there, but I didn't want to try to have 30 creatures ready to go, so I kind of pare it down to 5.
Well, then I'll just go ahead and close Discord. See if that works. But in my other rig, I never have Discord open, so I don't know. That's probably not going to be it. But
it might be a StreamYards thing, which I wouldn't doubt, because StreamYards has been messing up a lot lately.
While he's doing that, you can go check out both Heathen Drunk and Max over on the Legion of Myth channel. I just went ahead and threw
a capital I in my name?
Yeah.
God damn it. I go fix myself. I can't even spell my own name.
It's either that or a double L. Max.
Here we go. It's Max Drunk. Jesus.
There you go.
I've never seen Max Drunk.
You don't want to.
Oh, you don't want to. It's a whole lot of Queensryche. I'm telling you. He will sing along with Queensryche all day.
If you want to call that singing.
Oh, if you want to, yeah.
I will scream along.
When true story, here's a Max Liao true story. I introduced him to the most horrible concoction ever of alcoholic drink. It was Johnny Walker and Mountain Dew.
Oh,
I don't ever remember drinking that.
Yeah, you don't remember because you drank a lot of it.
There you go.
Like a lot of it, like half my goddamn bottle.
Hey,
when you're in the military, you'll drink anything.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, that is absolutely true. But yeah, I mean, Johnny Walker and Mountain Dew don't go together. But he drank it and went, good enough. And at the end of the night, yep, it was all former opera singer doing power ballads all day or all night.
Oh my God.
Yeah. In the barracks, our drink of choice was Seagram 7 and Mountain Dew.
Oh, so sweet. So sweet.
Yeah.
I started off doing Southern Comfort and Coke, then the upgraded version of Southern Comfort and Coke. And then I don't know what happened, but I kind of lost my taste for that. Then I started doing a whole ton of screwdrivers. And then I had a bad incident with that. And then it became, believe it or not, Kahlua. I don't know how I switched from Southern Comfort to screwdrivers to Kahlua, but then Kahlua lasted probably like 20 years of my life. But the good thing was, is everybody, I'm not drinking that crap. Great, the whole bottle's fine then. Thanks. Like, it made drinking for me a lot easier because I didn't have to share with anybody because nobody wanted it. I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, for me, it tasted too much like coffee, and I don't like the taste of coffee. So, yeah.
Well, see, I would start off mixing it kind of weak, and by the time I got through a quarter of the bottle, I was just drinking it straight out of the bottle.
Yeah.
Tell you what, that shit's fattening as hell, though. God damn.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
what were we talking? Oh, we were talking about subsystems.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have said this many times, many times about alignment, and I know Max Liao is going to know what I'm talking about. The sliding scale that I was introduced to in Dragonlance. In any game that has alignment, I may not use it exactly, but in the back of my head, I'm ticking off boxes where people are going against their alignment, and I am marking off how far away from their alignment they are based on that chart from first edition AD&D Dragonlance book. They have a scale where you're sliding away from your alignment, and I use that in my head in all games that have alignment. And then when you get into a gray area, that's when I tell the character, hey, you're moving into your gray area. No. See, alignment is not confinement. No, you can switch alignment. That's fine. I mean, a lot of games have penalties for switching alignment, especially if you're a cleric. But a cleric or a paladin or in any kind of deity worshiping class, you're going to have a penalty if you move away from alignment. So I like to at least mentally keep a tally of the things you've done and where you are on your alignment spectrum that I got from that Dragonlance book.
See, we really liked the tic-tac-toe board that basic and advanced, or I should not say basic, but advanced D&D had, and we've stayed with that for the most part when I was up north. But when I came down south, a lot of my friends didn't like alignment, and so I'm like, okay, we'll just have a moral code and just run your character according to that, but make sure that I know what your code is. And so the games we were running, I was playing a game without alignment, but I was busting the chops of the players because they were doing things really just out of character. And they were being, I'm going to say this, they were being dirtbags in 2011 and 13 when I was playing down south, because they would get on their phones and look up the module I was running, and they would find where all the secrets or where the special treasure was and such. And so they were trying to be all sneaky and such. And I thought at first like they're just getting a bunch of text messages, and nope, these suckers are using their damn phones to cheat the modules.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, I didn't really appreciate that too much.
No, I wouldn't either. I got called out on that one time. I got called out. I've spoken about this module before, the Devispark. I went halfway through. It's the only Planescape module that I like. And we got about halfway through it, and I'm like, this is a pretty good module. I'm going to buy it. So I bought it. And then one of the players was in my room. This is in the military. One of the players was in my barracks, and he saw the module, and he ratted me out to the game master. And the game master came in my room and said, "What the hell, man? You cheating?" I'm like, "No, man. I pulled it out. I hadn't taken it out of the cellophane wrapping. It was still in the wrapping."
Okay.
It's like, here you go. No, I just bought it because I liked it. After we're done, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to play it later on, But don't worry about it. He's like, "Oh, okay." But
when did you play Planescape in? I don't remember anybody running Planescape in DC.
No, because no one was with it. And I get it. I understand why. I mean, you were definitely not. You hated the whole idea. And Al was he was on the bad side of the fence. He still had one leg on the fence, but he was touching the ground of, no, I don't want to touch it.
Well, Al wouldn't admit it now, I don't think, but he was really into gonzo type stuff.
Planescape was pretty gonzo back then.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was too cartoony for him. I mean, there's a little difference between Gonzo and cartoon.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. It was the way the whole thing was set up was pretty comedic. Sigil in general was a comedy of errors in my opinion. But this particular adventure I really like, so I bought it.
Well, I'm going to get us back on track for a second because I
Do it.
came in here and the one thing I wanted to say about subsystems. First of all, I don't like too many subsystems in a game. Now,
Okay.
it depends on what you consider a subsystem, though, as well. I mean, if you consider initiative to be a separate subsystem from combat to be a separate subsystem from skill roll, attribute checks, whatever, okay, then I don't know what to say about that. But for me, I'm talking like for this, let's use like Palladium for example, because I'm working a lot with Palladium right now, which by the way is pissing me off. Okay, you've got the D20 system for combat, and you have the percentile system for skills. Those are two subsystems, and that's how I see it anyway. There's only two subsystems in the game. That's it. Now you can put other things on it, like if you want to add your own, and I'm saying this intentionally because this is where I'm going to go next. Your own, say, hex crawl on it.
Sure.
Or you want to put your own what do you call it, stronghold idea into the game. You could do that as well. I don't necessarily consider them subsystems if I'm not rolling different dice. That's just my personal take on that one. I'm not saying anybody else is wrong by saying no, everything you do is a subsystem. Fine, if that's the way you believe. But the one thing that I think I'm going to start adding to pretty much any game I run in the future is some sort of hex crawl / exploration / journeying type concept, something that keeps a survival element in the game. Because as both a game master and a player, as long as it doesn't turn into, as people like to famously say, a camping simulator, I like the aspect of you always having to consider, how am I getting my next meal, or how am I staying alive through this while still able to move forward.
Now, to taking that a little step further, do you have a third party type system for that you're thinking of, or is it your own deal, or what? Like
Forbidden Lands.
It's a Forbidden Lands thing. So even if you're not playing Forbidden Lands, you're going to use the Forbidden Lands journey mechanics for the game that you're playing.
For right now, yes, unless I find one that's better. I heard Adventure Conqueror King's got something that's pretty cool. I've heard a couple other games have some things that are pretty cool, so I have to look into them. But if I were just off the cuff right now, run a game and say how would I integrate it, I would use the Forbidden Lands one, because it's both deadly, meaningful, and when I say meaningful, I mean you don't have to spend 7 days fishing and then 1 day adventuring. I'm talking like, with one decent roll you could have a week's worth of food. A couple of bad rolls, you might be doing it for a couple of days in a row, but you're finally going to get some food and water, drink, whatever, to move forward. But you could technically starve to death and die. That's what I mean by meaningful. It's something that isn't like, well, let's just spend half the freaking day just doing the journey. And I think it's got a good a simplistic system for it. Even if it is overly simplistic for some people, because it's broken down into the quarter days. So everything's done in 6-hour segments. So
well, you know what? I don't know anyone who wants to, Oregon Trail their shit. I don't know anyone who actually does that. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's the.
Well, what do you mean by that? Because that's actually one of the most exciting, well, not most of that can be an exciting part of the game if it's built into it, as long as that's not 4/5 of what's happening in the game. It's got to be equal parts. You got to have your equal part exploration, equal part combat, equal part social.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, with the Oregon Trail technique, when you're traveling from one nation to another, or you're on the road for more than a week or something. You don't want to spend your entire time there worrying about, the axle on your wagon, or
right,
or the food for your oxen, or
if the entire 8-hour session is that, I agree that's crap.
Yeah. You want to have other stuff in there, and you want to have that to be present, but more in the background than not. I mean, yeah, it's going to come up. But
no, I don't agree with that. I think survival has to be prevalent, but it's got to be quick and simplistic. You're not role playing 6 hours worth of fishing.
Yeah, that would suck.
What you're doing is Heathen Dog's going out to fish, Max is going out to try to get some fruit and berries, Bruce Lombardo is going out to shoot something with his bow, and we
Baron
have
G-Rock is tending all of the oxen and horse,
getting some water. Or finding a camp. I mean, that's part of it as well, as finding a camp. So there you go. You roll the dice and you're done with it. It's pretty much that quick.
Yeah.
And you used up 6 hours of the day. The only thing you have to do is kind of spreadsheet it to the fact of like, if nobody found anything, which would be bad, what's the next step? And again, you're not going to survive from failing. I can't talk, from failing one roll. I mean, things have to happen. So it's built into the game in order to slow you down, so you're not running across the freaking United States in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but to be fair, in a D&D campaign, AD&D second edition, I'm sure third, fourth, and fifth are the same. If you have a moderately leveled mage and cleric, you're not going to really worry about it. You have shelter and food.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
That's pretty much taken off the table, because the cleric could turn a morsel of food into a feast, and the wizard can create shelter at a moment's notice. Just every day.
If the wizard memorizes that spell instead of
fireball. Of course he's going to. We're going to be traveling for 2 weeks, dude. If you don't memorize that spell, then the wizard's going to get beat with a sock full of a bar of soap at night. That's what's going to happen.
He's got fireball. He's got 7 fireballs ready
Not
to go.
at night. He hasn't memorized anything yet. What he's got is a whole bunch of bruises he's got to explain to people later on.
Not if he fireballs you. He's got.
We
7
save
fireballs.
one fireball.
Right.
Save one for night.
Save one fireball for the hazing.
You're right. I mean, but that's the only thing that I can think of. I think the games that incorporate that make the traveling meaningful. Yeah, have a travel mechanic that's meaningful but not excessive. And I think that the Forbidden Lands version of it is the starting point. And if you can make a better one, by all means, make a better one. But if you make it overly complicated, it goes into what people call the camping simulator. If you don't make it complicated enough, you do what Heathen Dog just said, and you're just hand waving the journey part of it anyway. So there's got to be a little balance in there.
I don't like the hand wave at all. If you're going on if you're third level or less, and you're going on like a 187-mile trip, we're going to spend probably a session and a half talking at the table, rolling the occasional random encounter, and just discussing what's going on and getting through everything, because that's going to take a lot.
Oh yeah, you've looked through the Forbidden Lands book, right? Have you seen some of those? You fail that forage roll, all of a sudden you're being attacked by some giant worm or something. You're like, I just wanted food.
Yeah, I just wanted food, and instead I'm getting attacked by this, that, or the other.
Yep.
And I've lost 2 of my friends because they got eaten by it, and this looks like a TPK in the happening.
Yeah, so look at that. You got the journey, the exploration, and the combat all in one failed roll. Yep.
Now,
you're gonna die. And that's Forbidden Lands. That's wonderful.
There are times when I give players a lot of slack if they properly prepared. If they knew they were going on the journey, they got fresh horses, they got a wagon, they have a reasonable supply of food and water, they bought themselves a map, they talk to people.
And just think, as long as you have that horse, you have food.
Exactly. They've talked to people who have taken the route before. If they've done that, I'm not going to throw a whole lot of crap at them because they've obviously prepared. So, I'm going to cut the random encounters in half. I'm going to make, getting food and, easier. I'm going to make the travel itself easier because the player characters have prepared for the journey. They've checked all the boxes. They're like, okay, this could go wrong. This could go wrong. We brought this, and this. And I'm going to reward them for, forethought. I'm going to reward them.
But again, all of that you're saying right there, just using the Forbidden Lands example again, is built in. You're not going to go hunting for food if you've got, 2 carcasses in the back of your wagon. You can just keep going forward. The only thing you might need to do is get some water. Actually, the only thing you'd have to do is rest and find a camp.
Yeah. Jerky and water. That'll last you a couple weeks.
Take a couple hirelings with you just in case you need, some long pork. And it's all right.
Oh, Baron G-Rock with the cannibalism. Nice.
And-
Wait, oh, you know what? You know what? One captured orc. Different race, not cannibalism.
You still get the shakes.
The other thing is, all these players love to have their for Pathfinder. I'm going to just I highlight Pathfinder because that's what I run.
Mhm.
There's other systems out there, but if your characters are at the table that you're at, and they have their laptops or tablets open, their character sheet, and they're using Hero Labs, you want to look at those characters on Hero Labs every once in a while, because sometimes players will not share with you the information that, like, they're 400 pounds over encumbered,
Which
So-
is going to slow down their overland travel, and you're not going to know it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you want to seriously make sure. I'm a GM that I'm always asking people in text messages, how much are you carrying right now? Send me a screenshot. Send me a screenshot. With your new experience point total, send me a screenshot. I need your character sheet now. And they email me this, and I'm always looking at the encumbrance rating for what they've got. Because in Pathfinder, there's a lot of ways for you to fuck over your GM in that game, but encumbrance will screw over anybody at any level. It is a wonderful tool, a pry bar the DM can use at any given time. Now, it's built into the game system, so Max is already kind of like, whatever. But encumbrance.
Wait, what? Why?
No. Because a lot of times people don't focus on encumbrance.
I am one of those. I don't disagree with it. If you like encumbrance, do it. I kind of hand wave encumbrance. I base it on visual. If you're carrying like 17 swords and 4 suits of armor, no. But I don't like getting down to the specific ounce of everything.
By the time you guys have finished your campsite and got the fire going, Tommy finally makes it up the hill. Tommy, you are now fatigued. Yeah, I love to do shit like that. I love encumbrance, and in Pathfinder that's necessary. So they've got to have a wagon and horses, because otherwise the players are going to be like, "I am Sir Carries a lot. I'm good. I'm moving at 30 foot around. Check me out." And then,
I'm with you on that. I just don't do it by numbers. I do it by how much crap are you carrying over there? Well, I'm really strong. Well, what's that game that we're talking about right now? Castles and Crusades.
Yep.
The way it uses bulk as part of its encumbrance system.
Yes. The size of a thing, not just the weight, will increase your encumbrance.
Yeah. So I mean, I like something like that because I'm sorry, but there's only so many statues you can carry.
Well,
No, you cannot carry that ballista on your back.
Right, but it's made out of paper mache.
It's so light. It's made out of meteorite metal like Excalibur. Jeez, don't be a dick. No, sorry, dude. It's also 15 feet by 20 feet by 5 feet. So, no. But it only weighs 20 ounces. I don't care.
Well, you can carry it. You're just hunched over. It's sliding left and then right and then back and then forward. You're just walking really slowly. That's fine. You're not really tiring. It's just uncomfortable. Keep walking. Everybody else is still moving at 30 feet per round. You're moving at 10. Or it slides and hits the ground and breaks.
When we get attacked, I'll just go to all fours, and y'all can fire it right off my back.
One of the things that I used to love watching party members do, but I think that back in my day, people got screwed by dungeon masters over this too much. We would actually be in groups, and I think Heathen Dog may have been part of one or two of these groups, where people would say, "Hey, I'm putting my pack on the ground, and I'm going to move 50 feet that way." And so, I'm putting my pack behind these trees that I know that they're here, and then I'm going 50 feet that way, and I'm going to start flinging arrows because I realize that I've got a lot of crap in my pack. And by the way, if you're an archer, you're not shooting too well if you're carrying a pack all the time. Things like that. But I've seen too many dungeon masters go, "Oh, you forgot your pack. You're stupid." Ha ha ha. So players get.
No one would forget their pack if they specifically hid it behind a tree to keep it safe. I give them the benefit of the doubt that they went and got it after the fight was over. I mean, come on.
Only under even if they have to, even if the party's forced to retreat or something. And technically, that you were retreating in the other direction, unless there's a real good reason for it. I'm the same way. It's like you were able to get your pack, because otherwise we're going to be spending another game session for the person. So I had in there 4 pieces of rope, 9 cloths. It's like, shut up, just But that's like killing the horse thing. It's like, stop doing that.
Unless you're hungry, then yeah, kill
Yeah,
it.
well,
Go ahead.
Rock's fault. Everyone is encumbered.
Yeah, I saw that and I chuckled. I haven't done that in a long time though. But the thing is that the encumbrance is meant there to be a balancing act for you as a GM to be able to orchestrate a party and do stuff. If you're going on a 187-mile trip, you're not going on foot probably. You're probably taking horses and wagons, more than likely. I don't see anybody who says, no, my monk is walking the entire way because he took a vow of poverty in 3-0.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. No, I don't
Woo
see
Jen,
it
man.
happening.
Woo Jen.
Yeah.
You can go back to first edition for that one.
Yep. Last name Kane, first name plot point. I mean, Kwai Chang.
Max
He
does
walked
not
everywhere.
kill horses.
Yeah, I'm the one that kills horses with griffins typically because they love the meat.
There was only
And
one person that I constantly killed his horse because everyone thought it was funny, including me. I killed his horse all the time, but he always got another horse either for really cheap or free later on. But everyone thought it was super hilarious because it was a running joke. That was the only reason I did it.
Yeah, in our Exalted game, there was a dragon blooded who killed one of his the GM that runs that for us in a prior game. Killed a used horse selling person, came in and killed a perfectly good used horse, and this tale has spread across the entire civilization now. About that one damn dragon blooded to kill that great horse. It's like,
And that's the other thing I want to ask because I've got 3 people besides myself. Whenever you're adventuring around and your players have been in the game for a while, or they've got veteran players or veteran characters, how do you portray that in your game world? How do you make it to where your friends at the table or your players at the table feel like their characters have been around a while? What do you guys do? Because that kind of goes into the plot or the point for tonight being, what subsystems do you guys use?
Well, first of all, they become recognized. So when they go places, I mean,
Yes. Actually, that actually brings up a good point. Recognition as they gain in level. I found that first and second edition D&D didn't do a good enough job for that.
am I going to be drinking here in a second?
Yes, you are.
God damn
First edition and second edition AD&D didn't do that enough for me. So once I was introduced to, everyone get ready, Earth Dawn.
Uh-oh.
They actually had a legendary status where you keep a total of your legend points, which are like your experience points, and once you reach a certain number, you increase your legendary status. So more people know your name, more people know about you, more people know about your deeds. And so when you go to a town you've never been before, if you have a high enough legendary status, people already know about you. They're like, oh my God, I've heard stories about you're this, when you killed the Lich King or when you saved the princess of the country of Barmund or whatever. And like, oh, here's a beer, or you can stay at a reduced rate, stuff like that. It wasn't game altering, but it really made the player characters feel good about themselves, like about their accomplishments, and it gave them
especially when
validation.
assassins came after you.
I never did that. That's just mean. The only time assassins came after them is if it was story oriented. That assassins are going to come after him because
Assassins went after Garthon.
Well, of course I would too. I mean, I would want to be an assassin.
Weren't you the one that paid for him? No.
I have no comment. But yeah, the legendary status, I don't use it exactly, but levels 1 through 4 for D&D, no one knows you, right? You're just a schmuck. No one knows what you've done because you haven't done shit. Nothing super noteworthy anyway. Then there's levels 5 through 7 or 9 or 10 or whatever, and people who in the general area know about you. In your home country, people know your name. They might
Heathen
know.
Dog must play a lot of Forgotten Realms because 5th level character that's a veteran ready to retire in most worlds.
Okay, well, in D&D, of course not, right?
No, that's exactly that. That's exactly where in D&D, a 5th level character is a veteran of stature.
Yeah.
All right, well,
not player character, of course. I'm just talking your typical NPC.
Oh,
if,
yeah.
If it's if 5th level or higher, that's an NPC that's already.
That's super established, but he's actually attached his wagon to other people. He's being paid, or he's attached to someone more famous. That's why his name is more known. You are making your own mark, so it takes you a little longer. But when you get to higher levels, like 14, 13, 14 and higher, people in other countries have heard of you. Yeah. So when you go to another country, you're like, oh my God, you're that guy.
And usually everything they know about you is wrong, so they think you're 20th level.
Well, I don't know about wrong, but probably exaggerated, because that's how stories work, right? I mean, they always exaggerate a little bit. Oh, I heard that you took down an entire army of 10,000 men.
You arm wrestled a pit fiend and won, and then it owed you 4 wishes.
Yeah. You mud wrestled a pit fiend in a loincloth, and you
No, you mud wrestled a succubus and won. You got to fuck her.
There you go.
Take her soul.
He kissed her and she lost levels.
Yeah.
Strangled her with your own tendon or whatever. Whatever. Yeah, it's all exaggerated, but they get a higher charisma bonus for friendly, not friendly type interactions because of their fame. I like to do that.
With going to the one that I'm playing in currently, which is 40K. We're playing the Chaos Marine side, so that's already kind of built in with the infamy. And then on the other side, you also have renown. So because really you don't actually level, you just increase your skills with your, because it's another you buy additional pluses to your stats and skills and everything else with the XP that you have. Very similar to or how you would do like Rod or something along those lines. So that basically is already built into that system too. So some systems have it built in.
No, I have a problem with the renown and infamy thing, because it's all point of view. Like if you are famous in one country and go to a country that is a historical enemy, your renown will become infamy, and your infamy will become renown.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, having a hard and fast rule like that is not for me. But adding in the wrinkle of if the country you're famous for being a hero is at odds with the country you're now in, the modifiers are reversed. I would do it that way.
Well, and with the way that that's set up in 40K RPGs, is if you're on the chaos side, it's all infamy, because infamy is your renown on the chaos side, and then on the Space Marines, Rogue Trader, stuff like that, your renown is how well you're known. Now it can be, it like you said, it can be either good or bad, because if there are people against you, like let's say you're a Rogue Trader, people are trying to get what the contracts and things like that, like what you're getting. That actually, the more people know you, they're like, oh well, we need to take this guy down. So I think, like I said, that kind of has that kind of.
That's fair.
That one built in. So
yeah, that's fair enough. That's good.
The way that we usually do it at our table is the players will usually have 3 to 4 successful jobs in a locality or town or province. And then people start noticing them. And typically people that they have to interact with, like town comptrollers or treasurers, uh, guilds people, anybody in the blacksmith district or that line of work. And they're going to be talking to these guys. Of course, any bar proprietor that gets a good head for like a mounted trophy inside the walls of the bar, they're going to immediately start treating the players a little bit better. The heroes at the table are going to be given a few more things than usual. And so you have all of these various small things that you can just note down as a DM, just story-wise, and recall in your notes or your college rule paper or whatever you use as your memory mnemonic device. I need you to just be able to take good notes and then regurgitate whenever the time is there for you, because your players, your customers, are wanting to have an entertaining time at your table. So if you can do that and weave it into some sort of like just story element, even just a small bit piece, that's what you want to do. And welcome, Mar Hockman. How you doing, sir?
I'm okay.
Oh,
Well, that's good.
good deal. Glad to see you could make it in tonight.
Hang on. There is a downside to players actively trying to get their name out there. Now, for any players that are listening who are taking ideas like, oh wow, I can do this, I can do that, I can hire a bard to sing my tales, or if anyone's watched the Netflix Witcher thing, throw a coin to your Witcher type thing, get that out there. There is a problem with that, because like we said earlier, the stories can get a little overblown, and then people will ask you to do things that you just flat out cannot do. Like, oh, I heard you killed 100 people barehanded. I got this little problem with a lich up here. I'm sure you can handle it, no problem. Yeah, no problem. And then you're kind of forced into that. So be wary, players, of talking yourself up too much, because game masters will take advantage of that.
Didn't that sort of thing happen to Geralt, like every time someone asked him to do something?
To who now?
Geralt.
Oh yeah. It's the same thing. You hype yourself up, you have to live up to it, or you get shamed. And that's the problem that the players have. They have to, thread that needle of hype yourself up a little bit, but not so much where people will force you into situations where you're definitely gonna friggin' die.
You're going to die.
I mean, because they hired Geralt to do things that, well, realistically, an ordinary person can't do at all. Geralt, he's not an ordinary person, but exactly. He needs custom hardware just to have a chance of winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, you have to worry about stuff like that too. Like you go into a situation, and that's another thing. Does anyone use any secondary systems for stuff like equipment, custom equipment?
For building your own, or for
building your own, or having a party member do it, or having a hireling do it, or having a blacksmith do it. I mean, a lot of times in the games I play, they kind of breeze over that part. And pay him the money and it just happens. Or
in Pathfinder, you can do it two ways. You can either go pay the money and it just happens, or you can have crafting actually have to take place. And the crafting actually having to take place is a very good, cheap alternative that depends upon good die rolls. If the good die rolls do not happen, the players are out their gold and time.
Okay, so you give the option of, hey, pay more money and you're guaranteed success, or pay less money and you could get a better product, or you could get a pile of slag.
There's really no better product. I mean, if you're crafting alchemy items like Alchemist Fire. You're going to pay like 25 gold for one flask. And then you have a die roll. You have to exceed 15 on your alchemy check. And if you cannot do that with your intelligence bonus, then you're just shit out of luck.
Does Pathfinder have the system where if you create something, you get experience points for it also?
If it is a difficult item, you've already received experience points in your travels, negotiation for the equipment, in your combat you had to fight to get that raw materials and reagents. So you've already earned experience points. Now you're just hoping for a good die roll. And
Okay, so long story short, no.
No, they really don't. Not as part of the main core rulebook portion. No, but there are a lot of third-party books that deal with crafting and things that you can create. Or here's little treasure books, and each thing in Pathfinder has a recipe that you have to have these spells, this skill, this feat, and this much gold for you to do it.
Yeah, the big, I think if I remember correctly, the big difference between like, let's say like 3035 and the Pathfinder for the item creation is that it doesn't actually hit your XP to do it.
No, 3035 made you pay experience points to create items, which I thought was stupid. You would just be in this endless loop. I'm stuck at 8th level creating wands of fire, and I can't do anything else. Everybody else is 10th level, but I'm here crafting wands. In Pathfinder, they said take the experience point cost from 3.5 and times that by 5. That's a gold point cost. Here's the equation in this core rulebook on this page. Here you go. And they give you all the recipes that you need in order to make each and every item that's in the core rulebook base magic item compendium.
All right. Something I've done in the past, but only when the player has suggested it. I've never suggested stuff like this, but if a player wants something made, like a special item, they want something made, and they will say, "Hey, what would happen if I put like a special ingredient into it?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I don't know. Like, it's gonna be my axe or my sword or my shield or whatever. I want it forged with my hair or my blood or a feather of a phoenix or whatever. You know, like, all right. You know, I mean, if it's just a bodily fluid or something, I'll make the roll easier. But if it's something like a phoenix feather or a basilisk eye or something like that, then I'll have it, be special in some way. I mean, that isn't a listed subsystem that I've taken from another game. That's just something that if the player suggests, I like, okay, I'll give you something special for that. I mean, you have to go out and get that thing to get the special effect. I mean, but if you want to put your blood into it, then I'll have it be, maybe not magical, but when you're using it, it'll give you a minor bonus, stuff like that.
I suppose it'd be amusing to have the players like, oh, you want to make a thing out of a dragon egg, huh? Okay, well, this is where you go to find the dragon egg.
Yeah, and actually, making stuff out of dragon things, I've always, warned characters against that because whenever they face a dragon, they can smell it. And they have a particular hate on you, and all their attacks are going to go on you first. So they don't do stuff like that. But other stuff, like super intelligent magical creatures don't like take their body parts and make armor out of it. It's not a good idea.
I really Shadzar brings up the monster ecologies from second edition AD&D, which those were just fun to read in the old Dragon magazines, and then they compiled them later. But those were fun to read. Like the Manticore, if you had a Manticore flying around and he had his choice between a meaty target and somebody dressed in full plate, the Manticore would first go pulverize a person in full plate and then go eat it because the metal was needed to fill up his tail spikes. And then if he was still hungry, he'd go for the meaty target but he always went for the item with armor on first. Is that metal armor? I can fashion that into a projectile weapon that can hurt things. And he would always do that. It was always a fun read. Sorry, I didn't mean to kill the mood.
No, it's fine. I'm just thinking about all of the player characters who would be pissed off that you said that. I'm like, oh.
Well, and
for that full plate, yeah, that's true. You did. By the way, pick up 3 dice 6 and roll those 6 times, and the following stat blocks: strength, intelligence.
Well, it's kind of sort of one of those things where you're explaining to the players what the enemy they're fighting is going to do to try to kill them, and then tell them, all right, now have fun with that.
That's usually how I run.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, like, and if the players ever find the gigantic pile of Manicore poo, like all the things that the Manicore didn't use, like the rings or the amulet of natural armor, all that stuff was pooed out. So there was typically like this big pile of scat not too far from the Manicore cave. And you would have like a really good treasure haul that you could at least come out ahead. Yeah, you lost most of your beefy men at arms, but now you have magic items.
You got magic items. You can buy more beefy men at arms. That's fine. It's fine.
Why did I always think you would say something like that?
It's fine. Hirelings are hirelings. They don't have money. There you
Well,
go.
I mean, one game I was in, so someone ran into a slime trap while in a dungeon. Yeah. What that does is it basically just like pours a thing of goo on your head. Goo that, dissolves metal armor.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yep, your armor's trash. Sorry.
Oh, Shadzar was just saying a DM telling the players how the monster is going to kill them is like Hancock in jail telling the other prisoners how he's going to kick their. It's like your head's going up his ass, your head's going up his ass, and you drew the short straw. Your head's going up my ass. That is yeah, that is something a highly intelligent magical creature would do just to screw with the party before he flames them to death. That's pretty funny. You know what? I'm going to do that next time. I'm stealing that.
well, see, and the other thing, like what I do, especially if they're like fighting undead and it's a cleric, the minute that they sense that like a healing or something like that goes off, those undead are like, oh really? And they will go right for that cleric.
Oh, see, no, I would have a demarcation for that action. Skeletons, zombies, and the like, once they sense the holy spark, would tend to go after other people. But intelligent undead, vampires, liches, whites, stuff like that, they would definitely go after that guy first because he's a threat. The lower level undead are going to think he's just scary and stay away. But the higher level undead are going to see him as a threat and try and eliminate him first. I get that. I would use that demarcation for that action in my game.
Yeah, I could see. I could actually see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Flesh is stronger than steel. That is a Conan deal. That's Conan, baby. Bum, 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 bum.
I was just thinking of that damn theme song, and you said that. Get out of my head, bro.
Well, it's like every time Rasputin, I see his name. It never fails. The rah rah Rasputin. Yeah, it goes through my head every time. It's like, oh.
Zombies are on the derp side. They have feelings too,
Other people don't have feelings. Oh, wait, you're not a sociopath. Sorry. No, other people have feelings. Definitely. Yep. You're right. 100%.
So
All right.
I gotta ask. So you guys do your reputation renown like that. When the players start like fouling up, if they don't manage to get themselves killed, what do you do?
Well,
How do you?
it all depends on the perception. I mean, if they fail but no one sees it, did it really happen?
It's like that tree in the forest. Yeah, I get it.
Exactly. You know, like, oh, please, we're going to pay you all this money to save our village, and the whole village dies. Did it really happen? I don't know. You know, so it doesn't affect the reputation. But if someone survived and they, you know, say, oh, we paid him all of our money and our village died anyway, then okay, that's bad. But you have to really gauge that with your players, because if your players know that's how it's going to be, they might actually murder hobo all the survivors just to make sure that their rep is spotless. So don't tell them. Don't tell them that. Shh, quiet. Don't do it.
I think the worst one I ever walked into was when I first started playing. And we went into this town and all these kids were crying because the town's pet was missing. And all they said, well, what's his name? His name is Fluffy. So they were, okay, well, you know, they're kids, you know, we're adventurers. Yeah, we're heroes. Yeah, we'll go find it. Well, we went out in the woods, found an owlbear, killed it. After we killed it, of course, we loot the body. It has a collar around its neck that says Fluffy.
Okay, what level were these characters who were you know doing the equivalent of getting a cat out of a tree?
Like third, fourth level.
Okay, well then
If
that's fair. That's cat out of the tree level for D&D. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so
second
then we went back and, you know, we had to tell the kid, sorry, it looked like, you know, a pack of wolves got to him first before we could get there. We lied our asses off to the kid.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, they're a bunch of kids. You don't want to tell them that, yeah.
Then then some of the parents pulled it aside and goes, so did you guys kill it, or were it really wolves? You know, of course, you know, our cleric, you know, came clean. Yeah, we had to kill it. It attacked us.
Damn holy rollers.
And then they were like, oh, thank God. We were so worried it was going to eat the kids.
Yes,
actually,
the classic. The kids found a little baby and then raised it until it grew into something huge that was, you know, actually a dangerous animal.
Yeah. But still, I would have still lied my ass off. I mean,
and it probably wandered off because it was out murdering things and just didn't feel like murdering things inside the village today.
Yeah, because that's where it gets its food, right? I mean, you don't shit where you eat. So there you go.
Smart wolf.
Smart owlbear.
Yeah.
Oh, was it an owlbear?
Also that makes me think of something. Aren't owlbears like magically created monstrosities and not, you know, actual like normal animals?
Typically, yes.
Kids don't care about stuff like that.
That's irrelevant. That doesn't matter because maybe your world that is a natural beast.
I'm just thinking, it's like, wait a second, where did it come from?
They're not exactly.
Nobody cares. There's no entomology. It just poofed into existence because God said so.
There's no entomology for the owlbear, but it was created in a magical experiment. Unfortunately, they're highly prolific, and I believe there's an ecology written about them. If I want to remember, it was like back in 88 or 89 if I read something about it, but I was a young 13-year-old kid when I was reading this stuff, devouring every article I could out of the Dragon magazines that I could find.
So the important part is that they do actually have the ability to reproduce.
Oh God, yes. They're
like
worse
triple
than a stray dog.
They're on cue with the way that orcs and goblins reproduce.
So they lay eggs like birds do, and so they have like clutches of like 5 or 6 every time they lay eggs.
Yeah,
and
but they're a mammal.
And
it's a magical amalgamation, so that doesn't matter. Shut your mouth, Baron G-Rock. You and your logic can go to hell.
Yeah,
And-
they're an aberration, G-Rock.
And when they hatch
And?
out, they're 2 feet tall and able to eat dogs.
Yeah, that's pretty scary when you think about it. A rampaging brown bear is like 150 to 300 pounds. An owl bear is supposed to be large size, which is like 800 to 1,200 pounds.
It's like
Dear
a horse.
Lord, that's miserably fucking frightening.
Like,
Yep.
not Fluffy, damn it. And you killed Fluffy, G-Rock. You go to hell. You go to hell and you die.
Of course, then there was also right after that, we were passing by and there was a black orc arrow stuck in a tree, and we spent 20 minutes trying to figure out the reason behind it. And finally, the DM says, "It's just there for fluff. Move on."
But every player knows that if the game master says it, it must be true.
It must be something important.
Yes. You said the sky is blue. Well, we have to figure out why. It's a nice sunny day. Damn that sun. I'm going to find out why it's out.
Had a
That
character
was-
named Dave at my table that he loved playing barbarians from 2nd edition or 1st edition. And he believed that doorknobs were magic items. And so, like, he would go into towns and they would eventually find him, like, into the gold pieces. Initially, the first find was, like, you know, maybe 20 silver. You got to replace this lock. You got to replace this doorknob. You got to do this. You got to do that, you know. But eventually, like, after the 3rd or 4th doorknob he broke because he thought they were magic, they started kicking him out of towns. And so at, like, 3rd level, he realizes, hey, I don't want to think that doorknobs are magic anymore. I'm like, okay, you don't. And then they went into a dungeon at 4th level, and they were pursuing the
No,
wizard.
stop it. You did not make a doorknob magical. You shut up.
I did too. I
God
had
damn
a
it.
wizard that was fucking with the party, and he mounts a doorknob on the wall, bolts it into the stone, and then he cast Tinder's magic aura on it, and he walked 3 rooms down, and the party's falling behind him about 600 feet, and they can see something magical ahead, and the barbarian's getting all excited. And then when I describe what it is, holy shit, Dave just starts getting upset, and he's like, "You're doing this to me. You're doing this to me, trying to make my character have a relapse. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "It's magic. It obviously is magic."
You're a dick.
And what?
That's the end of the story. You're a dick.
So about 20 minutes of the players arguing back and forth what they were going to do, and like they're twisting the doorknob trying to open the wall, and the wall's not opening because it's a fucking wall, not a door. And finally, like, Dave just like, "I've had enough," and he takes his axe and he breaks his axe, destroying the doorknob. And the doorknob is shattered. His axe handles broke, and the party was like, "We don't have anything we could really whack this wizard with. If he gets his spell off, we're gonna die." And that night, they eventually did die because he summoned goblins to chase him around this room while he was peppering them with magic missiles, and then they died like they should have. But that was what happened. And yeah, you know, I am a dick, and Web Warrior's right. My channel does have the word dicks in it. I'm a member of Dick's Division, a proud member of Dick's Division. I even have the mug. So anyway,
Shadzar said it best with bed knobs or magic items, and that is I believe a reference to the movie Bed Knobs and what Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
They actually
a magical flying bed because of a magical bed knob. That is the shit that you peddled in your game. God help you.
I watched that movie, and it was basically just like Aladdin's flying carpet, but this one witch had used that as her personal means of transportation. She enchanted her bed so it would fly.
Well, enchanted a bed knob. I think it'll work on any bed if the bed knob will fit. But yeah.
Yeah, that's just the things that you can do to fuck with your players, and you'll get that on this channel, especially during Gatekeepers, because the entire reason why the DM is to exist is that he has to fuck with the players. There has
No
to
player
be
agency, right?
Well, yeah, but there's no GM animosity either. I mean,
Well,
come
No, there's
on.
not supposed to be
No.
GM animosity unless you're
No,
running
no, no.
Hackmaster Fourth Ed.
GM animosity would be an old man sitting on a porch in a rocking chair
Get off
with
my
a
lawn.
wand of summon pit fiend.
A wand of summon pit fiend with a flared shotgun end. Get off my lawn! You damn kids riding your bikes on my lawn! Pit
Yeah,
fiend,
you
pit
wanna-
fiend.
Yeah. You wanna really torque off a bunch of players? That's a CR 1/2.
So, Bar Hockman, what else do you do in your games if you don't mind me asking? We're talking about subsystem tonight.
Well, I mean, I'm not someone who's ever actually done but one of the things that I've always pondered the idea of as a sort of a subsystem is players. I guess you could say, like, instead of like creating magical items, creating spells by tweaking a spell that's actually in the book and learning the modified version instead of the one in the official book. But that's one of those things where you, as the GM, you would decide whether or not this makes it too good or so on and so forth.
You can always bump up the casting cost. Maybe it's a spell slot higher, or maybe it requires more mana to cast.
Or just change the element. So instead of flinging a fireball, it's something else.
Like an ice ball or a sound ball or whatever the element is, it's that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you said sound ball, G-Rock went, ooh. How about this? Sonic explosion. How about that? Does that resonate better with you?
No. Shatter. That's what that is.
That's what that is? Okay, there you go.
A
Boom.
shatter.
There it is.
So
Visualize it however you like.
And
whatever you
truthfully,
gotta
a lot of systems already have that in place. Where you can, I know 3.0 and 3.5 do, where you can take feats for substituting elements and things along those lines.
Yeah, and there are a lot of game systems out there that have the changing of elements type thing, and whatever element is, it has a secondary effect. Like an electrical element would have an effect of stunning or taking out electronics if it's a futuristic game, and fire. If it's an area effect thing, it has an ability to set things on fire in the area, depending on what they're made of.
In Hyperborea, lighting an enemy on fire, if the enemy is wearing non-metallic armor, it might actually cause their armor to burn off.
Yeah. I mean, if they're wearing leather armor and they have a magical fire, cast upon them. I mean, I consider magical fire very much like napalm or Greek fire or whatever. So it's going to keep burning, every round, especially if it has an acid element. Obviously, if it has an acid element, it's going to keep going. But again, that is another subsystem that I use. If the game does not support secondary effects like that, I would more than likely add them in. Like if you have a spell that is create acid, but the game system only has it as a single target damage, but you're creating a splash of acid. It is acid, and it obviously drips off and it goes on the ground. People who step in the acid, guess what? Acid's on your foot. And it's going to burn through your soul. If you fall down in that acid, you're going to get acid on your body, so I will do that. I mean, that is not a specific subsystem, but that is an idea that is based off the elemental aspect of the effect that you're doing. And I would add that in there mostly for flair. It's not going to be huge, like a D4 damage or, D2, whatever, something like that. But it creates an element of thought for the player characters who are going to possibly walk through the after effects of this spell. They're going to go around. They're not, or they're going to jump over it or whatever. They're not going to walk through the puddle of acid. That's just stupid.
Well, see, one thing I always like to do, and this is just me because I typically wind up playing some kind of ranged, is I at low level I'll take like Pathfinder or even D&D. I'll take thunderstones and affix them to arrows. So that's the arrowhead basically. So you take a negative to shooting it, but I mean still because of the weight balancing and everything else. But still, it you get the sonic damage, and you also have the chance to knock them for a loop for a couple rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually good. And in modern games, I actually I'm really glad you said that, because in modern games that I play, like Ninjas and Super Spies, or other games that are set in present era or the future that still have physical bullets. I treat 9mm and 45 caliber differently. A 9mm round, you take it, boom, you're hit. Oh God, you're hit, and it sucks because you're hit by a bullet. But you're hit by 45, you're on your ass. I mean that's no joke. You're on the ground now. Like stuff like that. So yeah, a 45 has a lot of kick, and it has less effective range for targeting and whatnot. But when you get hit by it, whoo dog, you're feeling it. So yeah, if you have an overweight arrowhead, you're gonna have trouble hitting someone. But when you do, that's gonna leave a mark. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and well, you're also looking too that the 45, depending on the character too, they could wind up getting knocked on their ass too.
Well, yeah, but if a child shoots a 45, they deserve to be on their ass. That's how it is.
But I mean, we've all seen the videos of people out shooting, bigger caliber guns than what they're used to.
Yeah, those are people who were set up. They
True.
were set up. Like, oh no, it's fine, it's fine. Just shoot it. It's fine. No one prepared them for the kick, and that's how no one properly prepared them for that deal. And if that happens, everyone gets a laugh and it gets 1 million views, and that's cool and all that. But and anyone who professionally shoots a 45 understands the kick, understands the effective range difference, and what happens when you hit someone. The bullet caliber for this is something I do in I learned in real life that I put into modern games, where the caliber of the bullet will really affect what happens when you get hit. And the only game system that I have seen this done well, and I'm sad to say, is in TMNT. And Max Liao is no longer here because it was his game that I learned this as a player. But you get hit with a 9mm, yeah, you're hurt. You got a hole in you. You are probably not dead. If you get medical attention reasonably soon, you're probably going to be okay. You get hit with 7.62, Full Metal Jacket type thing in the shoulder, your arm is probably blown off. You get hit with a 45, the exit hole is bigger than your heart. You're probably going to die. So I add that into the games that I play in modern era. If the game itself does not incorporate that mechanic, just to tell the players that, if someone is pointing a dirty, hairy pistol at you, you should be afraid. You should not, okay, maybe not afraid, but concerned. At the very least, you should be concerned about that. If someone is leveling an M16A1 at you, you should be concerned, because if they hit you, you're probably gonna die by bleeding out horribly, and you're not going to be able to do anything else in the meantime because you lost an arm or a leg, or all of your guts are out now, because that's pretty much what happens. So yeah, I use that subsystem, that real life subsystem, in my modern games to put the fear of getting hurt to the player characters, because a lot of times player characters only decide that they're hurt when their hit points are real low. And a lot of game systems, TMNT is not one of them, because it has, wounding type things where you can bleed out and die and stuff like that. A lot of systems don't have that. But the systems that don't, I add that in, that, hey, you are hit with a large caliber round. You are bleeding out now. You've lost, the use of your arm or your leg, or, you're on your ass and you can't get up because you are in shock from all this. So yeah, that subsystem from real life, I will use in games that are modern, because it creates a sense of caution and planning for the players that are facing, against, say, a whole bunch of, a platoon of Marines who have M16s and M50s. You're like, okay, hang on. If I get hit by any of that crap, I'm probably done. So I want to plan this out. And I love that, having the players plan it out around what the adversary has. And that's why I do it. I don't want to kill them. I don't want to blow their arm off. I don't want that to happen to them. I want them to plan around that so they can succeed, but smart. Not just, go in all Rambo, shooting from the hip and figure everything's going to be okay. No, man, you're not Rambo. You're not the hero of this damn story. If you go in shooting from the hip, you're going to get shot in the face and die. That's what's going to happen. So having that threat causes them to plan.
It's like that old Leroy Jenkins meme.
Yeah, the Leroy Jenkins thing. Exactly right. Have a plan, and then screw the plan, just go in and hope for the best.
Yep.
Well, Leroy dies. That's how it works. Yeah.
And Morrow Project has that. It's a slightly older game, but Morrow Project had that same type of setup with it, and I really did enjoy that. I haven't even thought about that game for years until you start bringing up all the ballistics and stuff like that. So yeah.
I do want to welcome in, first time on Gatekeepers. He is one of the players in the channel, but he's a paid GM. And everybody give a warm welcome to Connell.
Connell, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We are doing great. I was about to leave, but then someone said you were a paid GM, and I got questions.
This is something that we've been talking about here and there. And like it's just like forbidden fruit where we all know it exists. It's possible. But what happens when you're a paid GM?
Yes,
So,
and I have so many questions to unpack, but the very first one I think will be the most pertinent to everyone here. When you are paid to be a GM, how easy is it to be like a professor at a college where they're paying you to be there, but they still have to perform and not be pissed about it? How do you thread that needle?
Very carefully.
That doesn't help anyone. Try harder.
Well, okay. For example, I was running Pathfinder through a game shop, and I was getting paid for it. And it was every Friday, and I would run a Rise of the Rune Lord. Now, the problem is when you do a module, you normally want the same people every week, right?
Sure.
Well, at the game shop I was working at, it was you might get 2, maybe 3 of the same people, but the other 2 to 3 is a crapshoot.
That seems awkward.
So there's just please sit down. Please pay attention. Get your pencil, paper, and dice ready. And let's see what we can get accomplished today.
Oh no, it sounds like preschool.
Well, yes, but with grown-ups.
Oh, that is disturbing. No, I don't want to say disturbing. That is expected.
Okay, if I run the same module privately, let's say me, you, Bruce, and everybody else sit around the same table, and I'm going to run Rise as a Rune Lord, as you know, some of them are like rolling their eyes. No, not Pathfinder. I've done Rise as a Rune Lord 15 times. We could probably cut through the first 2 chapters in one night, just a small group.
Sure.
Now, when you do it in a paid situation, I was only allowed to run up for 5 hours at a time.
Okay.
So I get maybe half of a chapter. So as I said, everything was very carefully. You couldn't lose your temper or showed your. What's the rating for your show, Bruce?
My rate? No, this is a free speech network.
Okay, you couldn't show your ass, because if you showed your ass, you didn't get paid.
Okay, when you say show your ass, you mean like lose your temper and
you lose your temper. I told you 15 times that won't work. If you do it one more time, you get the fuck out. No, that doesn't work. I mean,
well, no, yeah, they're being paid. You can't tell them to get the fuck out unless you give them your money back. But you know what? I'm the kind of ass who will say, you know what? Here's your money. Get the fuck out. That's yeah.
I had one occasion with a gentleman where I was basically get out and don't come back, and the owners of the shop, after explaining to them what happened, they agreed. So I came out clean, but at the same time, it could have went the other way.
Yeah. Your reputation could have been sullied, and then it could have gone bad for you. I get it.
So, no, being a paid DM is really, really cool, but you have more. I don't want to say shackles. More
weight.
It
weight
almost
on your
sounds like,
shoulder than you do if you're a normal DM.
Okay.
it almost sounds like you're more of a society GM or a Adventures League GM than anything else. With all the things that you can and cannot say or do, you don't want to make the store look bad. You don't want to make the game system look bad. You're trying to introduce players to buying this new book or this whatever it is that supports that brick and mortar you're in, or if you're at somebody's house, you definitely don't want to sully the house. You don't want to make them have a negative experience. But like if the dice kill the players off, the dice kill the players off. I mean,
that is very true.
Yeah, that is a really good statement. How do you mitigate that with the perception of you as a DM when the dice did it and you had no control?
Well, the general rule I have when I'm playing, if I'm getting paid to DM, is the dice have final say.
You say that like up front, like, what,
yeah.
I'm not against you guys, but if you roll bad, you roll bad, and that's the story.
Right, I have to. It's a basic, disclaimer, which I'm saying that wrong, but forgive me.
Disclaimer.
Yeah,
you're good.
I'm not responsible for your dice. If you're rolling 3s and 2s all night, there's nothing I can do about it. Now, if I'm, they're fighting a giant or an orc, whatever, and I'm throwing hot dice all night. As a DM, I can say, that nat 20 is really going to be a 15, which I know is not going to hit anybody.
Oh,
Wait, hold on. Do you roll with a shield or without a shield? Can you see
without a shield?
Oh God.
Well, if they see you roll a 20 and you say, well,
I can't do that. That's why I had rolled behind the shield.
That
Well, that's something someone told me about being a DM a long time ago. And while it's controversial, is that when you're rolling behind a shield, that the players don't actually know what you're rolling. So you can basically make it up to whatever thing you think would be a good story, if that's how you feel like going about it.
I mean, Critical Role does have millions of viewers.
Right. Well, you got to look at it. There's another way of looking at it. Okay, I'm being paid to tell a story, right?
No. Oh my God! You just said tell a story. Oh my God! Shadzar's here. We're in trouble.
God damn it.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Okay.
You're being paid to run a game, man, not tell a story.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm getting paid to run a game, but if I constantly kill off players, eventually no one will show up. Therefore, I will no longer get paid.
Bullshit.
Oh, no,
Bullshit.
you got compromise in the wind. I can feel it.
To be fair,
goddamn hobby. You're destroying the hobby. Sorry, I had to say that. But the thing is that fucker, dude, if your dice kill the players off, hey, make a new character. How many brothers and sisters you got? And that's the thing. Because the reason why I say that is that we have thousands of deaths every night on Dark Souls games all across the internet. And I don't hear people boo-hooing.
Oh, no, I hear lots of people boo-hooing, and they're the ones who are dying.
The
only reason you watch Dark Souls on Twitch is to watch people rage.
Well, there's a caveat here, though, is that Dark Souls has a respawn mechanic. Even if dying repeatedly happens a lot, it's not permadeath.
That is fair. That is a fair assessment. But with a role-playing game, when you die, depending on the game, it's harder or easier to die. But when you die, you're dead.
And the thing is that, like, one thing that I do with my Pathfinder game, back to subsystems for just a quick second, I always roll to see how many siblings they've got. Because we might go through.
I will avenge my brother.
Well, first of all, I don't need a timeout button. That's what beer is for.
Okay.
Second,
well, that's Shadzar. Shadzar is the anti-story guy. Run the fucking game. The story sorts itself out.
I'm nice when I'm dealing with people that I don't know. I am somewhat of a nice person.
Okay. So
Bruce can verify that I'm not.
So by the time they're 5th level, have they gone through all their good wishes and the cordiality? That wasn't such a bad hit against you. It was only 3/4 of your hit points. That didn't kill you all the way.
Well,
do you let the gloves come off?
The gloves come off. Okay. Who here has ran or been in Rise of the Rune Lord?
All of us, I think.
All right, the Haunted Mansion.
You're talking about book 2.
Yeah, book 2, Haunted Mansion. There are several haunts in that place that are not nice. And I run them as is, if not torque them a little bit.
Okay. I just want to get this out of the way. So you do eventually make the die rolls count for something, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because otherwise, I mean, all you're doing is just for theater's sake, I'm rolling this D20 in front of you, but he missed you.
Well, okay, no. I don't want to accuse him of
I'm not saying that. I'm not
pandering to the players. I don't want to do that. But I want to know how many times in your mind, not in real life, like in your mind, like, should I alter my role behind this screen just because I'm being paid? Has that? I'm not asking you for specific information or anything like that, but has the thought crossed your mind because you're being paid?
The thought has crossed my mind.
Okay, that's all I want to know. I don't want you to incriminate yourself in any way.
Yeah, and I want you to keep your job. I want you to keep going.
Yeah. I don't want to take away your income. That is not my thing.
No,
you're paving the way for others.
If you're running a paid table, and you have new people every week. You have 3 solid people, 2 new people, but you have a few solid people. They get wherever they roll. If you are a new player and you jive with everybody else, I might let slide for 1 or 2 outings. By the 3rd or 4th, you get whatever I roll.
Okay.
Okay, so
It-
so you're more like a game master drug dealer, you know?
Yes.
Yes, for the first couple's free.
Right.
you're
You
hooked.
know, introduce your kids to Dungeons, Dragons, or Magic, and don't have to worry about them having enough money for drugs in the future.
That is a smart business plan. I'll give you that.
I mean, honestly, the 3 people that are showing up every week were in their middle 20s, and the people who are showing up every so often were teenagers. You just have to work with what you get.
Well,
All right,
that's
fair enough.
atypical when you have a game store game.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get the teenagers that they're flaky. Oh, this week we're going to play the new Battlefield game. It's just now out on the interwebs. And so you lose those 3 players out of the 7 you've got. Now you're down to 4. It happens.
And it's hard for a campaign to move forward if you're only doing it with 3 people. Not saying that you can't. It just, you're spinning your wheels.
No. You can do a campaign with 3 people, but
Yeah.
if it's made for 6 people and 3 people are constantly changing, then that's where I understand. That's where it gets really difficult.
Yeah. Now,
because you aren't the part timers, damn it.
What was that movie? Replaceables?
The replacements, yeah.
Expendables?
Yeah, that too. Now, you guys, the topic of tonight is subsystems. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct.
Now, there is a book that comes out called Arcana.
Okay.
The art in the book is very gorgeous. It's a magazine. It comes out once per month, I think. And it has different things. Like you were talking about owlbears earlier on. In one of the books, it takes or gives you the ability, if you take this feat or whatever, this is for Pathfinder, to have mounts of any kind, owlbear being one of them.
Okay.
You know, Fluffy could have been the Ranger's mount that we forgot about. Or he forgot about.
He's a bad ranger.
Yeah. Okay.
No more powers for him.
With the ranger using an owlbear mount, I'm assuming that you're not bringing the old traditional 2nd edition and before requirements for the rangers to be good, because most owlbears are chaotic neutral. They're of animal intelligence at best, right?
Well,
right.
Animals can be trained. Calm down. Animals can be trained.
I get it.
Yeah.
But
that's it. Is especially if you are as adept at training animals as most rangers are.
yeah,
And you get the owlbear as a cub or pup or whatever
Hatchling?
the hell,
I don't know.
what the hell it's called when they're babies. You can train them up. It's fine.
yeah. Usually my players would take the clutch of eggs. They'd raise the owlbears for about 6 months, and then whoever was closest to leveling would kill them in the middle of the night. And that was like a totally not polite way for them to rocket up past the other members of the party.
That is awful.
That was not me.
I hope not, because that is bad.
I mean, I've done my variation of shenanigans throughout other people's games just because, well, I'm me. But no, I would never have done that.
I will note that this is the same man who actually almost had another player punch him on my channel 10 or 11 years ago.
Was Maggie
True
born?
story.
No, it was you and Russ.
Yeah, so been
No. Wait, yeah, she was. She was.
So 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Hang on. Web Warrior has a question. As a paid DM, do you use any notable subsystems that you have discovered to be useful? And by this, I believe he means do you use any mechanics from a third party system in many games that you play because it's better, or you believe it's better than the system that you're using?
Or beyond the core rulebook stuff. So like the
Yeah.
intrigue system or the Kingmaker,
Right.
anything that's not in the main core rulebook or
Right.
rule books.
Yes and no. Yes, I have anything I run as a paid DM, I have to clear it with my boss.
Who's your boss?
At this point in time, I wish not to say, just in case.
But is it
Okay.
the game store owner?
Yeah.
No. He wishes not to say. Stop it.
Well, no, I don't want a name. I just want to know, like.
Well, no. I mean, this is the interwebs. We can find out who his game store is. Stop it.
Okay. But I just want him. He's acknowledging he's got a. He's running for the store.
He has a boss. That is a different question. Let's move on.
We'll do
Why
it.
we can't have nice things, Bruce?
If I find myself working at a shop that's not a brick, then yes, I will use subsystems and make the games a little bit more interesting. If I'm working at a game shop that is a brick that has to play by a certain rule for society or adventures leagues, then no. It's basically whatever in the book, whatever in the hardcover books I go with.
Okay, well then I have a follow-up question on that one, because I have run a couple of games at game shops, and all I had to do was rent the table, and I could do whatever the hell I wanted.
Yeah, but the idea was to get paid, not to pay anybody. That's my.
Well, yeah, no. What I did was I didn't get paid to do it, but I rented the table, and then the players paid that rent. I didn't make or lose any money in that deal, but with that, I could play whatever game I wanted, however I wanted, and the store got the the acclaim of having games in their store, and that's all they wanted. But you have apparently have a different deal with some game stores. I'm not going to ask you which one. I'm not going to ask you anything about that. But you have a deal with game stores where you're more restricted in what you can do.
Yeah, and honestly, with the general public, it is good to be somewhat restricted, so they can't go back and say this DM is ... Then the game shop start losing money. I'm no longer working there, and everybody's miserable.
Okay, well, that is now. When I did this, it was 20 years ago, so it was a different time.
Welcome to the generation of
snowflakes. I've visited Twitter. I understand how that works now, and I would never ever do that now. So there it is. Yeah, I get it. Yep.
I mean, I really call some of them marshmallows, because with a slight burn, they're upset.
Yep.
They just melt and then get a sticky all over.
Exactly.
Everything.
Slight burned, and then oh my god, I'm ruined for life.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to say pay games are horrible, because some of them can be fun. It just depends on who's at your table, like everything else is.
Okay. All right. Well, I am going to take my leave now. Thank you very much for coming on here and telling us about the whole pay DM situation. I really appreciate it. In our last RPG Digest last Sunday, we talked about paid GMs, but neither Max of the Hour or I have ever been a paid GM.
They didn't pay him with money.
Well, hang on. Well, okay, I took bribes. Okay, whatever. But I was never overtly paid to be a GM, and so I had to speak from hypotheticals. But I'm very glad, Connell, that you came here to tell me how it is like to be an actual paid GM. Now I have more knowledge and I can change my view on it. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thanks for hearing what I have to say.
Well, that's easy. I always take in new information. Whether I agree with you or not is my decision, but I'm going to absorb it.
Fair.
So everyone here, thank you very much for having me. I'm going to take off. I hope
Hey,
you have a good rest of the stream.
Even though
And,
anytime you see me streaming for Gatekeepers or on like the chill streams or whatever, if it's not a gaming like live play that I'm running, you're more than welcome in here, dude.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that too. That's awesome. And Connell, again, I want to thank you for coming, and I hope to talk to you again later.
Yeah, I'm
All
always around.
Outstanding. Everyone have a good night. All right.
Yeah. See you later.
Yep, will
Take
do.
care, Ethan.
All right.
So, what game systems do you personally like to use, even if you may not use them in your current games?
Me or just in general?
Well, I already talked to the other people about that.
Oh, so me. I came in when 3.5 was big. I enjoy Pathfinder. I enjoy 3.5. I am learning 5e. But if you ask me, hey, which campaign, which style system right now would I prefer? Pathfinder, I enjoy. Bruce has a system that he runs I enjoy, but it's similar to Pathfinder enough where I can understand what's going on.
Yeah, right now I'm running pretty much PF 1E with some additions to it, but it's got some additions I feel make more sense because Pathfinder does a lot of things that are good for quote unquote game theory, but it doesn't really fit the physics or the narratives for why these things would exist. And like I have real problems with the Magus class in Pathfinder because for God, I want to say 30 years we had the elf as the basic D&D fighter mage, and that was basically like your introduction to like here's the elves in basic, and they can fight as well as a fighter, and they can cast spells like a wizard. Really good. They can cast spells as good as a wizard, but they go up in level very slow. Whenever they even things out with the experience point tables, and by that time they had already split things from race as class to now you have race and class. So now you're elven mage or elven fighter. And there were always talks in the Cormier book of the old sword masters for elves and such. But in second and first edition AD&D, they never really did I cast a spell and hit them with a sword for full damage class. Now in 3.5, they made this thing called the Duskblade, which was supposed to be an elven taught character that you learned how to sword fight and cast spells at the same time. And I thought that's kind of cool. It's a harkening back to the basic D&D game, which I love. I absolutely love the rule cyclopedia. But, and here's a big but, anybody could be a Duskblade, because in 3.0 and 3.5, they had no racial restrictions on name classes. So now you can have a Dwarven Paladin or Dwarven Wizard, or you can have Elven Clerics, and these things were just all over the map, where in second and first edition, TSR never printed such things. That'd be heresy. Well, now everybody can be anything, and so you have gnomes learning how to be Duskblades, which is just a tragedy in my head. But go ahead, play your game. Play your game. Well, then the mages came out for Paizo's Pathfinder, and they have abilities that wizards don't have. We're like, at the drop of a hat, I instantly can recall a spell I've already cast today. And I'm thinking, what sort of butt fuckery is this? Because that's exactly what it is. And so I'm working on putting a new system in my game for wizards to where they can do all the things that a mages can. Because in my head, the elven wizards would already have these knowledge bits, but they would never share them. This would never be something you learn at a guild. This is something you might uncover at like level 18, 19, or 20. And I just don't feel that the mages is a good class as a narrative, because for hundreds and thousands of years, the elves crafted magic, and they were the masters of magic. If you ignore the Warhammer fantasy trope that the Slan were the lizards were the original magic bastards, and elves always had better magic than them. But the Slan been doing it for 5,000 years. The elves only 3,000. It just it gets under my skin horribly.
Mm.
So the mages, I'm going to rework the shit out of it, but it's going to be one of those things where for this campaign, for this book, you will be elf if you want to be a magus. And if you're a wizard, you might learn some secrets that otherwise wouldn't have been available. But it just, Arcana pool, you serious? A wizard's never discovered the source of energy? These guys are masters of the arcane. But the magus gets it? This little scab ripoff hybrid class? You fucking kidding me? So I know that sounds like I'm being a bigot towards a class. I absolutely am. I hate the mages. And really, I hate the writers of Paizo's Pathfinder because they put crap like that all over their books where they're just like, well, I'm just going to magically have this appear in the game world because I said so and I'm the writer for the 3.75 system. And it just goes on and on and on.
Well, me personally, whenever I think of fighter mages, I think of the way the original Final Fantasy did it with the whole Spellblade mechanic, where you have someone who doesn't really fight with physical strength. They just, enchant a melee weapon with magical power and then just whack someone with it. And it's an incredibly limited way of handling it, but, the limitations for balancing, because Spellblade actually hurts like hell.
Yeah, in Final Fantasy Tactics, if I remember right, those were a really good class.
What book, for out of curiosity, what book would you wish that they would have cut off with? See, I liked the core, Ultimate Magic, Ultimate Combat.
I wouldn't
and
allow
that's
either
where I
of
would
those
cut
in
it.
my games if I could get away with it.
Which one?
Ultimate Magic, Ultimate Combat, or garbage.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. Like there's some very uninventive feats, and they've got 3 classes in Ultimate Combat that are just boring as hell. I mean, the samurai is a retooled and rethemed cavalier. Come on, really? And then the gunslinger.
Yeah, I didn't like the Gunslinger all that much.
The gunslinger is kind of OP in the game until he runs out of bullets, and then after that, it's one of those things where it's just this character will eventually die.
It's kind of like a magic user, but with a different mechanic for how often they can use their abilities.
Exactly.
In campaigns before in Pathfinder, when it's straight Pathfinder, and I decided I want to be a gunslinger, I never took said class gunslinger. I would be human fighter. At first level gets 3 feats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first feat's amateur gun fighter, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Then that would be first level. No, that would be the human feat. Then the fighter feat would be point blank. Then the third feat would be perceptions. Well, it's with all range things in Pathfinder. There's a certain tree that you have to go up to get anything.
Sure.
I always felt that I could make a better gunslinger using fighter and rogue than the class that they offer.
You probably can. You absolutely probably can. Edge of Time says you and Gary. I don't know what he's referring to there. I then the other book, like the 3 books I'll have at my table from Paizo is a core, the Pathfinder Unchained, and Ultimate Campaign.
See, the Unchained I've been told is broken. What was it? The Barbarian? Is it the Barbarian? Yeah, the Barbarian is rough.
The Barbarian is better written in the Unchained than he is in core. He's definitely got a little bit more meat on his bones, but they really don't. He's not super improved. He's on par with a poorly thought out fighter. But he's a rage person, so you've got to dump some feats into extra rage. If you don't, well, sorry, kid, you're going to run out of rounds that you can be full steam ahead. by level 19, if you get that far, you get the no fatigue after you rage, which is nice. And that's like a real good thing. It's almost the crowning jewel of it. But the Unchained Barbarian outclasses the core rulebook Barbarian every step of the way.
I'm going to have to take your word on it. I've yet to be in a campaign where that book was even an option.
Okay. Now, I'll tell you that Unchained has my favorite mechanic in Pathfinder, which is the skill unlocks. Pathfinder is basically a skill system that's determined by what classes you have. And if you use the skill unlocks, you get some real spiffy things for having these certain skills at certain levels. You only get one that you actually can show off because the skill unlock only pertains to one skill. So choose wisely.
That's
But the things you can do with those skills, like the acrobatics at skill rank 20, is great. The disable device is fantastic if you're a boxman type of rogue.
right.
I use the skill unlocks in every campaign because I just feel the game gains more from it. And I encourage people, even if you're not playing a rogue, which gets the skill unlock for free for one skill of their choice, I tell people in non-rogue classes, take this, take a feat and burn it on this, because this is really important. This is something that will make your character stand out among your peers.
I can get behind that thought. And was it Web Warrior was asking about experience in 3.5? Do you feel that you're able to do everything and most things players suggest or want to do in 3.5?
I think the experience point system in Pathfinder is great because you have three varieties. You have fast, which mirrors the 3.0 and 3.5 system, where it takes about every 15 encounters you can level up. 15
Yeah.
encounters at your challenge rating. Medium, which is about 20 encounters and you're going up a level. And then you have slow, which is wonderful. It takes about 30 encounters to go up a level per level. But the thing is that as dungeon master, you regulate the spigot. You decide if you want to go full blast. Even if it's on slow, you can award extra XP, or you can have experience point awards for doing certain things. You literally can control the rate which your players go up in level. And I don't like having players go up in level more than once every 4 sessions. And
I remember.
I know that sounds murderous.
I mean,
For you guys that played weekly with me, you're getting away scot-free. This is gold, you know. We level up once a month. For my poor players now that are in my games, it's once every 2 to 3 months that they level up.
As a player, you don't really want to level up every game because you don't really, get a feel for your character that way.
No, you don't.
Well, when it comes to XP, it depends on how I'm running it. If I'm doing, like I said earlier, where I have 3 solid players, then 2 to 3 whatevers, I'll do milestones because I'm not going to punish the people that come in every week because we do not have enough people to get everything done so you can get every last XP.
Well, another thing that I've noted with games, though, is that you might have, like 2 guys beat up a bad guy and the other 2 guys just stand there and watch. And you're not going to... Well, I mean, would you only give XP to the 2 guys that actually beat up the enemy versus the other 2? I mean, because that's one thing someone pointed out to me a long time ago about milestones, is that in a way, milestones are basically just counting up the XP that you got for things in an abstract way and not, nickel and diming it.
Well, the thing is that with milestones, depending on the GM, what you can do is if they don't complete everything that was, you set, bullet points. If they don't get, and each one of those bullet points is worth XP. If they don't get, let's say 3 of those, they don't get those three bits of XP. I mean, it'd be just as if they didn't do those encounters, which they didn't do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because like I said, though, it's like it's a way of abstracting things. You're like, okay, here's the pool. You missed these pieces of the pool, so you take those out of the pool.
But if I'm sitting at a table where every week or every other week, as one of the cases I'm in, where I have the same 5 players every week, I will do XP. But I will not. Okay, I have a rogue character who is, as was put earlier, he's a straight out of the box rogue. All he does is check for traps, unlock doors, and roguey stuff, right? Well, if you're in a dungeon that's just a straightforward dungeon that doesn't have a whole lot of traps, don't have a whole lot of things that will be in his wheelhouse, but it's basically smashing goblins and killing other things. I try to even it out because the rogue is doing his job. He's just not having the most productive day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, if the players are not happy, they're not going to show up the next week.
And it might take you a few sessions or a few months to get your character, to get your table right. It took me a while. I'm still in a rebuilding phase, but it took me a while to get back up to 5 players at my current table. And for them, it's one thing to get a table, but it's another thing for everybody to get along just fine. Because there's a lot of times where you'll have people at the table and you're getting DMs back and forth from your players like, I can't stand Tommy. Tommy's pissed me off. That was totally not a valid roll. He can't be rolling 20s like that all the time. That's bullshit. And you're getting this just from all 4 or 5 of your players, and you're like, I'm gonna fucking eject this table. I'm done. As a DM, like, I've done that my share of times. I apologize.
That or you leave state.
Say again?
That or you leave state.
Well, I left the state for a job.
I
Like,
know.
I didn't have a good one. I can't, as much as I love Walmart, and I really do not love Walmart. I love even less having them as being the sole income that I was having at the time. And so I left Illinois, and I've got a much better life here now.
And I'm happy that things are working out for you. I was kind of poking at you.
I know. You guys always manage to make me feel like I'm missed by getting pissed off that I had a better life open up to me in Texas because I was willing to bust my ass and work 60 hours a week. God, I'm an idiot.
I am glad.
Wait, who are you again? Do we know you?
No,
You
Right.
used to live here?
I just, kind of wish you left us with a better DM. That's kind of what I'm saying.
I didn't realize he was going to foul it up so badly that within 3 weeks the game would be the game that I crafted after 3 years of running between the game store and my front room. That table would disintegrate. I didn't realize that.
He shit the
3
bed within
sessions?
3 weeks.
Yeah, three sessions and it's done.
Well, in the current game I'm in for the Hyperborea RPG, we have this running gag about how the DM apparently has dice that are cursed by 3-eyed snakes. Because every now and then he'll just like, all right, an enemy's going to attack. Really? That's what the enemy did? Really? Like, okay. Next enemy said, no, you gotta be kidding me. Last time we played, which was yesterday, had a room with 2 enemies who were melee, 2 enemies which were ranged. The ranged enemies attack one of the party members. Both of the ranged enemies get critical misses and hit their allies in the back.
Oh, no.
That's not how you're supposed to fire, Tommy.
The funny part, though, is that the DM is like, okay, well, that happened. Next.
That's exactly why Gorilla Red is putting the stuff about the firearms in the chat, I think. The whole thing with early firearms is that they were deployed in formations of at least 3 men deep and a dozen abreast. So the volume of fire ensured that something would get hit and damaged.
Mm.
I seem to think that's entirely why we're having that conversation right now.
The thing to remember is when he's talking about volley fire like that, is that he's referring to muskets, which were smooth bore and used crudely forged ammunition that was basically just simple casting. It's not even machined. So even a skilled marksman with that weapon had difficulty hitting anything more than 100 yards away from him.
I have a DM up here that's on Spratical right now. He's not wanting to run much of anything until, I don't know, ever again. But in his campaign, he makes like 3.5 with Iron Kingdom or Pathfinder with his twist. And I told him I want to do Gunsmith. And he made a chart of guns and actually did his homework. And the guns they use, I mean, they're all turn of the century, last century, Billy the Kid, Clint Eastwood, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. But you know what I'm saying, Western guns. And I'm like, well, I think a revolver should have exit wound. He's like, why? I'm like, well, I imagine if you get shot by a revolver in the right spot, it's going to go through no matter what.
Not if you're using turn of the century, just because those bullets were not made of the same quality as they were made now.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would point out here, as someone who has some experience using firearms, is that it depends on the muzzle velocity of the bullet, whether it will be able to exit the body at all. And a revolver, good luck with that one.
Well, it's fantasy. No, I get your point. I'm not a gun guy. I know how to use them. I've gone to a range a handful of times throughout my life. I'm more of a get my hands on you or archer. That's probably why I play a lot of characters that are archers.
Well, me, I'm the retired U.S. Army, so.
Oh, thank you for your service.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't really have, shall we say, practical experience with that sort of thing, but training and how to do it. Yeah.
I have two groupings of Army friends. Either they were like literally as far away from the front lines as you could ever be, or I have the other side of that sliding scale where, like, if the car backfires too close by, they're on the ground and they think they're under attack again somewhere in Kabul. I don't have anybody that's in between. They had kind of both situations now.
It's a rarity, yeah, because most people are either non-combat or combat, and you know, it's very much a one or the other sort of thing.
Yeah. I was a squid, so I got a little bit of hearing damage from my time out in the Gulf, but that's about it. And not from like anything dangerous. No, we were just training Turkish sailors how to use our ship. And being that I was a ranking aft lookout, well, I got to be out there whenever we went through like 600 rounds of the 5-inch, which only 400 foot away, it can do a lot of hearing damage.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean there, because have you ever been next to a 50 caliber,
Yes.
a full auto, when someone's, you know, emptying the magazine?
Not emptying the magazine. When we went to the range, we were told to only squeeze off 3 rounds or less.
Oh, so, well, see, because that's a matter of, you know, like familiarizations, like you're teaching someone the stuff to use the weapon properly. When you do the actual qualification for that weapon, you have to be able to keep it pointed at the target while you know, empty the entire ammunition belt into the target without having it stray off target. So
For the purposes of just the school we had, we didn't get a chance to go full auto on a 50 cal. I would have enjoyed that. I'm sure the others would have enjoyed that. But
the sound of that thing firing like that will make your bones vibrate if you're close enough.
oh yeah, you definitely you definitely realize how fragile you are when you're right next to it going off.
Now with the 50 cal automatic, wasn't they wanted to empty out the magazine because if they stop, they might jam it?
Nah, yes, but that's only really applicable if it's a real world combat scenario.
Gotcha.
If it's a firing range, having it jam, you're just like, all right, time to clear the firing chamber. Okay, it's clear.
Yeah.
Reload.
I got some Marine buddies. I've heard stories.
Yeah. 50 caliber ammunition, you want to be super careful because of the fact that if a round goes off and it's not in the chamber, the powder charge in those can blow your hand off.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah, I saw premature retirement on that once.
One of the places I used to work, they had a poster of an example of this is why you should properly handle ammunition, and it was a guy who had a 50 cal round explode while he was holding it in his hand. The story I was told is that he was doing something stupid and beating something with a 50 caliber live round. I'm not sure if the story is true or not, but the story is that he was banging it on something, and that's why it went off. Is that he was, damaging the round.
Sorry.
Darwin exists for a reason.
It won't fire, but makes a really good hammer. Yuck.
But yeah, it's that the picture basically is like most of his fingers were missing. It's just that level of hand exploded.
Before I got with my ex-wife, there was a young lady before her, and her dad was a police officer in one of the surrounding towns I live in. And he's like, I want to go to the gun range. You want to go with me? And I'm like thinking, no, this is a horrible idea. This sounds like Dick Cheney.
It's a gun range, not a hunting expedition. Go with a man.
So I did, and he had me fire. He had me fire several guns, and he's like, "Well, you have pretty good sized hands. Why don't you fire this one?" Look at the gun; it says Desert Eagle. I'm like, "This is gonna hurt, isn't it?"
Then someone's like, but Lara Croft uses this, and then someone snickers because one of the main criticisms of the Tomb Raider games is that Lara Croft dual wields Desert Eagles like they're pea shooters.
Yeah, no, I had to support my wrist before I even fired the bloody thing, and even after firing, I'm like, "Yep, that was one and done."
I have actually known people to use custom firing gloves that had a built-in wrist supporter.
Yeah, I've seen those.
I'll stick to my bow.
Mar Hockman, I got to ask, man. What other subsystems do you like to use at your table?
Getting back to topic.
Honestly, it's one of those things where randomization mechanics are something that I personally find to be really fun, because it's like the whole thing's like using a published module. Sure, you can do that, but if someone's played that module before, they're going to know what's under each rock. So, but if you have a large amount of randomization, no one knows exactly what's going to happen, not even you.
There was a campaign I used to run, and I ran it 3 times. The players are currently in middle either rage quit or they're just waiting to get their characters up to the right level to where they can go back to it. But Slumbering Czar is the favorite module I've ever ran. I had a player that he was really good at just making the Pathfinder system squeal. Like Andy and Garrett both know this guy named Robert, who he was really good. He would read very in depth on things, and if you make the right class character combination for Pathfinder, you can just totally bend the game over and pretty much just butt fuck it right there,
Robert.
right in front of the DM. You know, look at me. I've got an enormous amount of actions per round. I've got all these things I can do. I'm fucking your game up, and you can do that. It's in the rules. If the DM allows it, you're going to lose control of the game. But Mike was really good at doing that with characters, and he had an Oracle of Time. And I learned don't allow oracles of time in your game, but oracles in general, period. But they were playing the game, and they went underground to do something, and I rolled on the random encounter chart on the web for so many feet down what they would find, and they came across an umbral dragon, which is medium size, and he belches out negative channeled energy. So I'm just watching my players wither away, and for like the next 7 sessions, I tormented them with that dragon, because at the time I was playing through a game called on my PC, Shadow of Mordor. And
Love that game.
It's not bad. I like the nemesis system to it, and I was adding a feat and a hit die and a character level every time the dragon would fight the players, because I really like that system. And I'm like, I could do that with the Pathfinder system, where I just give it a level every time it fights the players. And eventually, like, the players were like really outclassed by this thing, and they fought it. And only because the die, I had one of those nights where, like, I've got all the bonuses in the world, but I can't roll over a natural 1 on a D20 for 3 rounds and save my life.
Yeah, it's like that joke I made earlier about dice possessed by 3-eyed snakes.
Yeah. Like, whatever hag I managed to, like, offend, like, I really apologized to the fates and all the other shit that was going around, because I could not roll die for like a session or two after they killed that dragon right in front of me. Now, granted, I also there's like 9 characters that died, and in Slumbering Czar, the last 8 pages of the book are obituaries. So you as a DM can throw that in front of your players after you've triumphantly destroyed their character right in front of them. Please put your character information here. Thank you.
Yeah, that Hyperborea game we've been playing, we actually have an official obituary list. However, it's all for characters played by Blazer and not anyone else. Somehow, only Blazer played characters die. It's not that the rest of us don't nearly die. It's just the rest of us stop at the nearly part.
Now,
Yeah, Blazer continues on.
Talking about Mike, one of his games was basically his world, and so he.
This isn't the same mic, but go ahead.
What?
Not the same mic, but go ahead.
Oh, okay.
There's more than 2 mics in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
If it's the mic that was at your table, he's talking about the same mic.
Oh
wait, no, you're talking later. You're talking down in Texas, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not the same mic.
Yeah, Mike up in Illinois would never go to Texas.
So the mic up in Illinois, where I'm located at the current moment, was running a homebrew game with 3.5 and Pathfinder, mix. But he would throw modules in from older editions, where this, if y'all recognize this fig, is Charlon from that, was that 2nd edition?
Chardalon?
Hey.
Chardalon? That's from the 3.0 adventure path that Wizards of the Coast put out in 99 to 2001.
Okay, all right. I'm not 100% sure on the edition, so forgive me on that one. Anyways, he threw
The fact
this
you
in
have
there.
that figure makes me happy.
What?
The fact you have that figure makes me happy.
There's another one at my local game shop that's going for north of $500, and I can't swing that.
Let me know what shipping is.
I will talk to Mike.
Well,
the game shop owner.
And the thing is that like I don't think I'm going to buy my girlfriend or wife a Valentine's Day present, but I absolutely would buy that in February when I get my tax
I
return
just want
back.
another one, so I have matching bookends. No, oh yeah. Have
Yeah,
you seen
true.
the on figs? Have you seen the latest Tiamat fig that just dropped?
It bored me.
I think it's gorgeous personally, but I don't have $400 for it.
You know what I like better than that? I like the Reaper miniatures Mal Drakkar, the 6-headed dragon on the cliff with a 16-inch wingspan. That thing, that thing right there is everything as a miniature painter I want to fucking do, and I want to do it well.
Right.
The reason why I say that is that I'm getting to the point where I can paint like this now.
Yeah, I can't. Doesn't help that I'm colorblind.
Well, Bruce, we are almost 4 hours into this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut her. Mar Hockman, before we wrap up, did you want to get one more subtopic in about subsystems? I'm sorry about going off topic there.
I can't think of one right now. Because this is one of those things. It's like a lot of them are things that are like, I guess you could say, like ways of managing game mechanics, and a lot of them are very specific to the TTRPG you're running. Like some games will have mechanics for hirelings, where you have each player actually has their main character and however many other NPCs that help them with stuff. And that's something I find to be an interesting idea, but it's not something I have enough experience with to say how much I actually like it in practice. But, so one of the things that strikes me as something that would require a lot of careful tuning to keep it from being a personal army sort of situation. But it's just something I think sounds like a good idea, I guess is one way to put it.
See, with followers, I don't let followers go with the players and be part of the adventure because they will die. They will die. You are responsible for their death. You have to go look at their parents and tell them, I got your son Timmy killed. And I don't really want to do that. I don't want to have like a fucking funeral at the end of every adventure where we bury the dead followers and torchbearers and all that. I don't want to do that. I will allow, like, if the players have a TPK and they have followers with them, after about 3 days, the followers get kind of scared and they're like, we better go after them. Oh God, what? And I will have characters ready because I usually have some first or second level player characters already written up. Yeah, Carol's because he was so young. I'll have characters written up and I make the players play their followers and do a corpse run. But I won't have them fight the same beefy SOB that's there. Now they might have, if there's a necromancer in the dungeon, they have to fight their old hero friends as zombies now. And because they're zombies, they don't get to act as fast, and they're zombies. So there's a chance that the followers might live or they might die. But I enjoy doing things like that. And if they can get the corpses out, well, maybe the town will have enough money to res them. Things like that. I like doing that, but I don't like giving followers levels. Now, the leadership feat will tell you how everything is. There's a table that gives you how many levels the cohort has, how many levels this follower has here. There's 2 more followers, a couple levels lower than that, and they're at this level, and it breaks it all down. Leadership feat for Pathfinder is a mathematical chart of excellence. It is better than the Ron Swanson chart of excellence, and I love Ron Swanson. Anyway,
fair enough.
Do you play Pathfinder?
Me, I've never attempted to play Pathfinder. No.
It's an exercise.
I've tried actually a few different games. It's just that there's dozens of them, and I haven't tried all of them.
Sure. It does well what it's supposed to. It plays a good, crunchy game.
There was a Wrath of the Righteous. There was a part in one of the books. It's later in the game where the players are required to take their followers with you. So if you got 6 people at the table, that means there's 12 characters on the table, which means combat is we'll start this month and maybe end it next month.
Yep.
That's my biggest problem with leadership is if it's forced upon you. I'm like, no, I'd rather just leave my guy at home and he can do housework or whatever.
It's understandable. They do have a character with the leadership feat, and after leadership feat, you have cohort. You have to create a character that's like 2 or 3 levels lower than you, and he is your torchbearer. And you don't want to get him killed off because getting your cohort killed off will lessen the amount of followers that are still following you. Because some will just be like, "They killed Timmy. Oh my god, fuck this! I'm not getting paid enough," and they're out.
Right.
Well, that's a lot like how Hyperborea handles its familiar system. Like, so certain character classes have what's called a familiar as a class feature.
Sure.
And it's basically an animal pet that follows you around and does your bidding. But you don't want the animal pet to, get hurt because they don't have a whole lot of hit points. And if they die, that's a problem for you because you can't easily replace them.
See, I like Hyperborea. I like the ideas I've read in Hyperborea. I've not played it yet, and I'm going to at some point. But
can I be Cole the Conqueror? Wait, no, or is that Bart Conan?
Hyperborea could be Cole. You could play Cole the Conqueror in Hyperborea or Axe or in Forbidden Lands.
I mean, isn't he from that storyline though?
I don't know if he's from that particular storyline. If there was a storyline, I know there was a series of short stories written by. I just blanked on Conan the Barbarian's author's name. Texan from Midland.
Yeah,
Anyway, tonight's stream is pretty much over. And before we leave, Mar Hockman, are you going to be doing any streams in the next 7 days, or are you going to be on sabbatical enjoying turkey?
They're thinking about doing one Saturday evening, probably Star Trek Bridge Commander, but not 100% sure about that yet.
Okay.
Thursday, of course, that's family day, so no one's going to be there.
Will you do me a favor and post your channel link in the private chat, and I'll have myself or Garrett we'll get it in there so people can check you out and subscribe if they like watching Star Trek games, which Star Trek games are fun. Mostly.
Unless they're tabletop.
While he's doing that, I'll go ahead and put the Legion of Myth link in there. We had both of them in here tonight. Max and Heathen Dog.
Legion of Myth was what I was talking about.
Oh,
okay. Well, that works. Ha-ha! So yeah. They Legion of Myth every Sunday they have their RPD digest. Definitely make sure you do check it out. Also, are you and Bruce, are you and Blaine doing Thursday, or are you guys not?
I'm probably not doing Thursday. We're headed down to Corpus to see family. So
okay.
It's a night where we actually will be off, because I was thinking about doing a stream, but if I'm going to be in Corpus Christi, that's a far ways away from my paint desk, and I'm going to go enjoy some salt weather air and some turkey that I don't have to worry about putting in the fridge for the next 19 days. Because God, I don't mind turkey when it's that day that you made it, but turkey after the first day, fuck that. I hate turkey.
I found it's all about how you store it.
Yeah.
But
Okay, there is my YouTube channel. If you want to go over and check it out, me and Bruce have a little bit of the same type of stuff. Now, next Thursday, we will be back doing the Table Breakers. We do that every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central. So definitely make sure you do check us out. Myself, Bruce, and Blaine will be going. What did we decide on? Because I know we talked about
We
it.
talked about
Let
it.
me. Session 0, actually.
Yes.
That's a fun.
Session 0, do's and don'ts. So that's what we're going to be,
If you want to be a
talking
good,
about.
if you want to be a good game streamer, you got to have a strong session 0. You got to talk to your players about why you're here. You're going to be expecting this, and that's why you need to have a good Gilbert Godfrey impersonation. You know what I mean?
But yeah, we do that every Thursday, so make sure you do come and join us for that. Next week on Wednesday, I believe, is the next Gatekeepers. I'm not sure who's doing that. I have not seen.
We're gonna have a palaver about that in the Discord, I'm sure.
So yeah, just kind of keep your eyes and ears open. On Sunday, definitely make sure you stop by that for Legion of Myth, because they will probably have everything finalized by then.
Saturday, I'm running a game stream for my tabletop game, and we had a half TPK last time. Maybe the demons will finish the job. I don't know.
Excellent.
So
yeah,
Kill them all.
The closest we've had in the Hyperborea game to a total party kill, everyone but 2 people got knocked down where they're in an unconscious state, because someone who is supposedly a thief attempted to steal a crown off of a magical statue, and the statue decided to release a cloud of death gas.
I mean, that's slightly better than being a rogue that sets a wooden house on fire with his teammates in it.
Yeah, that's also.
I mean, I wouldn't know who would do something like that.
All right, so everybody, thank you very much. More Hawkman, Connell, thank you much for joining us tonight. We definitely
for having me.
appreciate that. Also, want to thank once again Max and Heathen Dog for coming in. And everyone, thank you very much, and we will catch you next time.
thanks so much for joining us at Gatekeepers, and we will talk to you guys next week, Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Thank you so much.